I'm not cool enough for that.
All right. Hey everyone, welcome to Roll for That this week. A little bit less prepared than last time just because we didn't have our fun little intro talk today. But that's okay. So last week, we just were doing those tests.
Yes.
So far you guys are doing above, I don't really know exactly if we have it perfectly stationed as to what numbers you have exactly, but generally in the top percent is where you guys have been placing every.
Yes.
Sounds consistent.
You started with the card game, the cheating, the who's best at cheating card game and who's best at noticing. Cheating. Went to lockpicking. I don't know if it was lockpicking or the acrobatics after that.
I think it was lockpicking, then acrobatics.
Either way,
and
it was the Ceres show for like 3 or 4 tests in a row.
And
then you talked your way through a stone door
yep.
And I also stared in the dark.
very effectively.
And we cheated at stealing a flag.
I
Almost
didn't cheat.
got to.
And then we had to do it again.
It's all right. You did fine the next time too.
Yep.
It all worked out.
Indeed.
C'est la vie.
Perfect. Cool. So that was what happened last time in general. This week we're just gonna start right where we left off there. So we just finished the capture the flag in the dark for the stealing the flags. We can, if you guys have anything you're wanting to do this night, we can start there, or we can just start at the top of the morning. Either way works.
Start at the top, probably.
The top of the morning for you.
Yeah.
Hey,
I just
I
do
mean,
regular
yes,
studying
right.
through the night, so
yeah, you're just hanging out.
yeah. I hang out in the common room till everybody goes to bed, and then I'll go to our room.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, we'll just start at the top of the morning. That next morning, the barkeep is making the warm, dark drink from that special, almost looks like a chemistry set that he's got going on.
It's cafefe.
Café?
I've not thought about cafe in a long time.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever thought about café.
I
It's
don't know what
fine.
cafe
Moving on.
is.
Yeah.
That's
Sounds like
Okay.
an inside joke that I'm not.
It's an inside joke that I'm not a part
It's an
of.
inside joke that most of America is in on, actually, and a whole lot of the international community.
But not me.
Why was I not invited?
You need to spend more time on the internet. That's all.
I wasn't. There was a time where I wasn't paying attention to the internet.
That's
Right.
okay.
And
The
there's continuous
so
times where I'm
jealous.
not paying attention to the internet.
The vast majority of my life, I have not paid attention to the internet.
Depending on my
Internet,
mental
I'm
health,
here
I
for
will
you.
pay less or more attention to the internet.
Internet, if you need something, please reach out to us.
Internet?
Donate a lot of money. I mean, that's not how this
I'll put a
works.
suicide hotline exclamation point on here eventually, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, if you feel sad, you don't die.
Don't forget,
When
we love you.
Specifically me.
Great.
Nobody else. That's me.
Jason is the only person who will ever love you.
I'm the only person
Don't-
capable of love in this world.
Plant thoughts in heads.
Also, a lot of other people are actually capable.
Sorry, be gone, thoughts. Out
We're
of
terrible.
your head.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, it's the next morning.
Everyone's
got some
out of bed.
coffee.
There's coffee ready for everyone.
Mm.
Holy cow. It's a
I
good
like
time. It's a good time.
It's very bitter.
Not distracted at all.
It is very bitter, and that's good, because it's a bitter day. No, I'm just kidding. It's a little bit bitter outside, maybe. And by that, I mean overcast and not quite a happy kind of day outside, in a general sense. Compared to yesterday, that was pretty much just a nice sunny day on a lake house. Today's a little bit overcast.
This is my kind of weather.
Ooh, that is your weather. Eventually, after breakfast has been served and things like that, Merrick comes out from the back and says, "All right, claps his hand. We'll get right into things." He looks around the room and he says, "The next thing that we're going to do is something that a lot of people may not have practiced directly. we're going to be working with disguise kits. Quite the reaction there.
Yeah, I've never used one.
I'm glad we got someone.
My disguises are a little bit
The
more
person who built a rogue
mystical.
Yeah.
has
I
the rogue skill.
Yeah,
built the rogue, but not
not that rogue skill.
not that.
Not
that
that
kind
kind
of
of rogue
rogue.
skill. Come on now. But he leads you out into a. He goes off into a different direction towards a shed to the,
Pretty sure.
I don't know, south, because he's not going to the west across the lake.
What?
Yeah, we have a picture right.
He's not just.
He's not going to the
He's
east.
just not walking
He's
on
not
water.
going to the east across the lake. Towards the south, you can see off in the distance there's a little shed by the forest. He takes you to it. He opens it up, and it's a little bit bigger than you at first thought it would. But inside there's just a whole bunch of makeups and disguise. Like basically, it's a playroom, like a playhouse's just a room full of like this outfits and things. In this case, they're considered disguises. Play, it would be considered more
Costume?
costume. But yeah, so it's basically just a big, huge costume.
And being good with a disguise kit means you can disguise other people with it.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I also have a. Mind if you
No, I can reach them.
Whose dice do we try?
not wits.
What?
Your dice betrayed us.
It wasn't her dice, wasn't it?
Mine did alright. Is this one
Was it that one?
or
Yeah,
the
press that
or the
one.
other white one? I don't know. She's training the metal one.
I'm training them all. The one I'm training to keep, but the rest of them I'm training to be average.
Because that works.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been training them for a while. They still don't do what I want. But that's okay.
Yeah.
They do what you guys want. A lot more than I want. Cool. From here, he goes on and he states, again on this one, there will be no magic. There will be time for that in a moment. Right now, what we're going to be planning is we're going to be trying to have you get your whole group makeup. Now, that can mean one person does everyone, two people does split the party, it doesn't matter. You're just going to be working on your group. Try to get them as disguised as possible. The least they look like themselves by the end, the better it will be.
Make me an old woman.
And he says, all right, everyone, you have full access to this room, full access to the makeups, full access to everything in there. He kind of looks towards the sun and like does a little thumb thing, and he's like, yeah, you'll have a little while. And he says, and go.
Okay, I'm gonna start doing Grayson's makeup. I'm sorry. You have a character named Vincent's makeup. And I'm gonna turn to Talia and say, pick some old lady clothes for him.
Okay. I look for old lady clothes.
Yeah.
And
I'm
they're gonna
taking
be
what I
special. They're gonna
learned
be extra
from
special.
Arla about things actually matching. Like, apparently that's a thing.
Rumor has it.
So, I take that and look for things that match that look like an old lady.
You can decide how well this works.
I'm gonna roll is what I was just...
You can roll, but I'm just saying that you decide ultimately if it works or not, because it's not really a skill check.
Fair.
I
more
I
of a
might also
role-play
like
thing.
just
What
totally refuse some
ability
clothes.
score should I, or ability modifier should I?
I mean, this is something you...
Charisma, or maybe dexterity, maybe wisdom are the ones that I think would work.
It's a strength check.
For some reason, I don't feel like it's a strength. How did you do on finding the clothes to start?
I got a 16, so I did pretty good, but there's still like
I
the
mean,
shawl
16
doesn't
is,
necessarily
really
match,
good.
but like the top and the skirt that I got
Okay.
match.
But it's a sentimental shawl.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'm gonna play it.
Well, either way, I rolled at least an 18,
That's pretty good.
and so depending on which ability score, we're just going somewhere between 18 and like 21.
Thank you. Thank you, young man.
And did the thing where it's like pinch your cheeks a little bit.
I'm not sure if it says anything specifically. What to you? But I would probably just go with wisdom.
Okay,
to
cool.
kind of get a general idea of does this look like it could actually pass.
Mhm.
Personally, I think is kind of where I would add that. So you had 18 more plus.
Yeah, so it's a 20. And so I've done up his makeup to make his eyes look really sunken, and like put a shawl around his head. Not a shawl,
A bonnet.
kind of a bonnet thing over his head so that there's less skin even showing.
Okay.
You know, that kind of a thing.
It looks really good.
And then I say, okay, Talia, you next. Do you have any preferences?
Can you discuss?
As everyone knows, she's always wanted to be one.
I'm just going to
I wrote a poem about that.
Vincent, will you go get her something that looks stylish?
Ah, yes.
That's
I'm giving her a
a
cape.
10, so that'll only be a 12. I'm going to use one of my
You
little
look really
helpers.
expecting that. I'm not sure what you're expecting.
Just like letting him do what he's doing.
This is what you're. This is the
and he
face you're making.
expected,
I'm
I
gonna use
am
my little
expecting to look
helpers
like a tree.
to add an additional 5. So that's a 17 for hers.
That's
And
pretty good.
yeah. And
I find the most tree-colored cape possible.
Is it camo? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's like just bark and then like the green like shoulders.
Okay.
That's pretty like.
Yeah, it's a tree.
mhm.
Cool.
Okay, I gave her elf ears and like
Aren't your ears slightly elvish anyway?
Possibly.
I am still a human. I just have slightly elfish.
Yeah. So it works.
I gave her like
Hint of Fae.
So you're
You
like
would
accentuating the.
yeah, I'm
Perfect.
in fact I'm going full like Eladrin into Dryad-ish territory here, so like really accentuating her Fae features.
Now you are really looking like you are otherworldly.
Oh.
It was a good enough role that anyone who had actually seen the Fae would probably be like, no, this isn't quite right.
Mhm.
But if you hadn't seen the Fae, like the majority of people, then you would probably be able to convince people that you were, in fact, from somewhere.
If you had met the Fae, you might be like, they look like they might have some blood, but
Yeah,
anyway.
that kind of a thing, yeah. But it is other than the fact that this is something that would be hard to do in general anyway, it looks pretty dang good.
Okay.
I should open a salon.
Why am I even doing a life of thieving when I can do this good?
There's no passion in it. He's just like, another masterpiece.
Ah,
Get out of my sight.
It was good, regardless. Both of them were very good roles. Kind of stepping back and looking at your work, he does not look like a man anymore. Even his height, it looks like you were able to kind of bring it down with a stoop of the back and making it look like.
I have to do myself.
And you do need to do yourself.
And I'm just practicing
What do you want?
being
For,
an old
what
woman.
Yes.
spells do you want for yourself?
Oh no.
He's like, go and fetch me.
Fetch me.
I show a dearie.
We'll go with the beggar. It's a classic.
Of course. He's looking for tattered clothing.
Woo!
I
Well,
go.
that's a 25 on my dice.
You are gonna be looking good.
And by good, I mean bad.
Yeah. So with your beggar, just out of curiosity, how in depth are we going here? You're not gonna look like yourself at all, obviously, with this kind of role. Are you going to have any like what kind of defining features does this beggar have that you don't?
Oh man.
I'm just bringing reps for your feet. That's all I got you.
He's like, here's some
Just
bandages.
rats for yeah. So I just like
I definitely didn't bring you the nicest thing in the closet of wardrobes. But I definitely didn't bring you beggar's clothes.
That's hilarious. So,
I know it's a hard question.
Bruises.
it's so difficult. Oh, no, bruises are easy to see through when they're not as swollen. I mean, I'm not going into that.
Yeah.
I once took a whole course on doing bruise makeup, and I promptly forgot most of it. But anyway,
But there's hints.
It's hard.
It's
Things-
I could
things that
actually
theater
punch you
kids
if you
do.
want.
That's actually hilarious. No, I think that Cirrus actually has like an actual false tooth or something, and I pull that out and do like the foot wrap, and then just like layer on multiple cloaks that do not fit at all. Like, and there's like a big cloak and then a small cloak on top of that, so that it's really like lumpy and misshapen. And
We just soak one layer in your.
He's down.
Man.
and then do like the toothache like bandage wrap around my jaw kind of
Of
thing.
course. Yeah, how can you go
And-
without?
Of course. In fact, I probably have to just completely cover my hair because it's just
Got a ball.
so much. Got a bald cap.
Or at least like a super receded, like.
Yep.
I don't know. I do something along those lines.
That sounds good to me.
Just-
You are looking completely different than you did to me.
And an eye patch on each eye. And
And a walking.
I like it.
I do like the idea of a crutch that is just too small for me.
So you're like
And
waving
so it like
over,
real, yeah. Like dragging one leg.
automatically making you hobble just because of the inconvenience of the cane more than your any actual wounds you may or may not have.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm. I like it. Perfect. That sounds good. You guys all finished. Looks good. It looks like he's giving a couple people a little bit more time for party size.
Hmm.
And so looking around, you can see that the ugly human group actually made that guy
Oh.
not quite as ugly. Just putting that out there. Put on the makeup, and he looks passable as not ugly. I
mean,
wouldn't say good looking, but
What's that?
he went from hard to look at to oh yeah, hey, that looks like an average guy.
I mean, just put in a little extra effort, guys. Like really, you'd be surprised how much you can accomplish by just,
No,
If you
I should-
shower.
I really
Like
should start
acting
putting
like
on
you
some
care.
makeup.
you know,
Beards get in the way though.
I wouldn't know.
I mean, a carefully
I'm starting
manicured
to-
beard
I'm
is
starting
like
to get
a
one
really
patch of
attractive
something
thing
that
to some
resembles
women.
real beard
I wasn't
hair
saying that
just
it's not.
right
I'm just
here.
saying it's hard to put
That's why I
makeup
got
on
like
beard.
beard and then a bald
That's-
patch. One little thing.
But you could make up
It's
some
weird
like
growing
Yeah,
back.
from here
it
up.
kicks up.
From here up. Yeah.
This doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
Just make sure you blend it into your hairline.
That's a good idea.
And don't forget to powder.
But
Please, you do.
so that guy's looking pretty good.
Base will get
Um,
everywhere if you don't.
It looks like a lot of them are pretty good as far as the basics, but Paxton, you notice a couple of them are missing things like not really doing the back of the neck as much and things like that. Where
Not blending the whole
if
way.
you're not paying, if you weren't paying attention to little details like that, you're seeing a lot of people making those kinds of mistakes as well. Well, the one group. There's two groups that looks like they did exceptionally well. The first being the Bard's family did pretty exceptionally well here. And the other group who actually did surprisingly well is
We don't even see the bard.
Yeah, I'd expect the Bard's family is now just like a group of like street toughs who look nothing like.
they don't even look like they belong anywhere near each other either.
Oh,
Like
excellent.
these don't look like they're people who know each other.
Mhm.
But you can see them standing together in a way that you can tell they
Like that's the
are.
And the
Yeah.
age
Yeah.
group matches.
It's almost more the height that's telling you this more than the age group.
And
because
process
their
of
ages
tell the
don't
age.
look-
process of elimination with
Yeah.
the other group.
Yeah, another group. There's actually two other groups, so they did by far the best from what you can tell.
Mm.
You feel like you did pretty close, but at least for yourself. But moving on to some other groups that you notable, the actually surprisingly to you, and maybe because of good friend Arla, but the half, oh my goodness, the Dragonborn group, they all look mostly different, where the Dragonborn still looks like a Dragonborn, don't get me wrong, but is a completely different color and is shining like it's a different color than the gold. And all the rest of them, some of them you can still tell their races and things like that, but they don't look themselves anymore. Even the twins don't quite look like each other, so they look completely different from each other.
Nice.
And then the other group who did well, and you're surprised about it, is the acrobatics group.
Yes.
They did pretty well at making themselves look different, with the exception of.
He's a very handsome orc.
Yes, he looks different,
But he's handsome.
but you can darn well tell that it's still the same dude because he's still as built as he is.
He's
Isn't-
probably carries
isn't-
himself the same
He's
way,
carrying
too.
himself the same way. Like it maybe it is a better. It might be good makeup, but you can't only rely on makeup to be someone else, and it looks exactly like him without looking like him.
How'd the cute little drunk dwarves do?
The dwarf tieflings.
Yeah.
So
That's
not
what I meant. The
amazing.
tiefling.
They
I
didn't
tried
do
to-
terrible, but
Are they cute now?
She thought so.
they're cute because they're
They're
drunk.
cute because they're drunk. That's why.
Oh,
Adorable.
That's
okay.
not.
Because if they're cute now, then never mind. Moving on.
He's on. We'll ask him later. It's okay.
Everyone else did what you would consider either average or below.
Okay.
But those are some notable people. And then actually Zeta, the tiefling, and her halfling and half-orc companion, they're one of the ones who are a little bit below below what you would say is an average or a good disguise.
Hmm.
But at that point is when Merrick comes out and says, "All right, we're going to be finished right here." And he kind of walks around at each person, and you can hear him making brief little comments and things like, here he goes to this person and says,
I want to go stand with the bard fan.
You can go stand with the bard.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
fine. He's walking person to person, group to group, kind of thing, and giving little pointers and tips. He says, he basically goes up to a person, says, who did these, or who did these? One person says if they did it or not, and says, and then he just starts doing little minor critiques, like if you look here, this isn't blended at all, and this color doesn't match this at all, or you're still leaving. They're like, one thing you need to focus on too is if you can change the eyes in any little way. Even he's like, put a little dirt in their eye just to make it red. That's gonna change it from what people were expecting.
Smoke a little something.
And smoke a little something. And he is going around telling all these people these things. He goes to Nizam and he's like, "You look different, but you are acting the exact same. You're standing just as tall. It's hard to mask your physique, especially if you're still standing with it proudly." And you hear Nizam go, "I am proud." And then he just goes, "That's a good thing, but it doesn't help your disguise." And then he walks on to the next person, things like that. He gets to you guys. I'm going to go to the bar fan. I'm going to go to the bar fan. And says, who did these? And they each rose their hand. Everyone in this group of 5 raises their hand. And Merrick looks around and says, "These are all extremely good." He points at, "This one looks really good. I've never seen a street tough who looks this old, but is obviously as young as you are, my dear," talking to who now you can tell must have been the young daughter of the family.
That's awesome.
And says, he points to an older man and says, and like a really quite an old man, and he says, You put on more age than you already had. You went from 50 or 40 to about 80 here. I want to see it opposite next time if you can. And then he goes, just kind of gives little hits and tips, and he goes to you and he says, "Now you, my friend, this is the exact same quality here. Did you do this to yourself?"
Yes, I did, sir. I did, Sonny.
This stick is a really good touch here. It off-put your balance, which off-put everything on you, and just really made it, just sold it for me. If I didn't know better, I'd say you were with these people, at least in skill. Like,
Well, thank you.
I like the accent.
I'm much obliged.
The Bard family, like, pats you on the back. They're all like, "That's so good, very nice, looking great," things like that. All in their own accents as well.
Of course. I gotta do it.
He takes you by the hand and he says, let's go see the rest of your family, or the rest of your party. And he walks over with you, like, with his arm out so that you can have the weight.
What a kind young man. I'm trying to channel Ed Lashley.
Becoming an old man and a beggar. Going beautifully. He gets over to you guys and he gives you, he says to you, "Oh, is this your spouse?"
Oh, yes. This is my sweetheart. I bring the alms home to her every night.
Sidestep away. And I'm also trying to act like...
Like a tree?
No! I leaned over and asked if I was a tree. And
I told her she looks more Spriggan.
he told me I was not. So I'm just trying to act,
Oh, I told you to act like the mean girl.
yes, I'm trying to act like the me.
What was the name again? Who's the mean one? Not Arla, Nesta.
Nesta. The names are nice to have,
It is.
but also there's a lot of them.
So many.
Soon there will be fewer.
A little bit. Or at least it'll be easier because they'll have it memorized. But he comes over and he says, "Well, this has nearly sold me. It was hers that was the slightly lower roll, right? No, it was his that was the slightly lower.
Hers was slightly lower.
Hers was slightly lower. Yeah, yours was 20 exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comes over and gives compliments just about everything about it. Wraps really make it. Adding that stoop kind of did it. He asked if you did any tools to help him to stay stooped in that same posture at all.
I'm just leaning on my staff.
Are you leaning
Because it's
on
just
your
like
staff
it's a
itself?
super basic staff.
Okay. So this tool then is his own staff that he
Yeah.
already has. And he's just like, that was a good touch, especially since that seems like something he always has on him anyway. He kind of looks at the staff. Did you do anything to the staff, do you think?
Probably like rub some dirt on it, but nothing much more.
He notes as well that even just that little touch of the dirt is something that would make it slightly different than what they would usually see, and kind of gives you a little congratulations on even thinking of the staff. It looks over at you and just says basically the same thing that I have said previously. He has seen the Fae before and knows that there's kind of this magical quality to them. And he's like, he looked at you and says, "Now you look just fine, my dear, but you don't have that mystique that just emanates from them. And I don't think it's your fault. I think that you're just not a Fae."
I say, "Should have let me use magic," and I dancing lights around her head.
And he nods and he says,
I could have done that myself.
he nods
Sorry.
and says, this is not only just for figuring out, you obviously have the skill. I'm not saying that you don't. What I'm saying is that sometimes what it comes down to is finding what you can do with what you have and not going too far with it. This is very good, and if you had the magic, it would have sold it even more, like you said. But with only the tool provided, can you make them convincing with what you're achieving? And it was very good. I think it would work against most people, but especially with what we're planning on doing, a lot of them may have experience with otherworldly beings. Maybe not Fae, but they may have an idea that this doesn't have the sense of an otherworld. Otherwise, looks really good. And then just continues.
Really
to
gone
the next
well.
level.
I
Nah,
got
it's
carried
so-
away with the I got
Yeah,
carried
but like-
away with the tree. There we go. I got my voice back.
I could have had the best disguise if I could use magic.
What
He
magic?
never would have.
I
noticed
never
me.
would have noticed. You could have just sat right on Vincent's
Could have
head.
that.
You could
Right.
have just pooped on it.
I know.
I would have added.
So sorry, you guys. But he gave you quite a bit of time to do all of these disguise kits, probably most of the morning, almost till noon, for everyone to get their disguise kits done, finished, figured out, and things like that.
Asking.
Don't forget to moisturize.
Forget to moisturize. He kind of gestures towards the lake and says, feel free to clean off. If you want to, the easiest way, jump right in. And then he just says, if you're not comfortable with that, you can always use the wash basins inside.
I'll go wet a cloth for you. I mean, and I like stand up and pull the splint off of my head and like
Yeah, we just unstoop and we're like,
You see
oh.
a lot of people just doing these kinds of things. Suddenly, just like clothes are just falling off. And you see like these little sticks that were like connecting an arm down or things like that to keep things. And anyway, like little finger extensions you see on a couple people, and
Finger extension?
yeah, like a little prosthetic finger on the tip of it just to make their hands look a little bit bigger than they were.
Everybody's standing up straight. We just gained like 20 feet in height.
Everyone is standing up straight. Yeah,
Not really.
we see some people take off stilts. Just little baby
stilts.
stilts, not too long, like
Like
6
go-go
inches.
boots.
Some of the shorter people, like especially the halflings and things, you see them wearing little stilts and like arm extensions. And I mean like full on terrible. Probably wouldn't work if they were looked at too closely, but like
They put
little,
gloves on.
but with gloves and things on, and if you're not looking closely, just walking past, you wouldn't think they were a halfling. If you looked close, you would know for sure that wasn't their actual hand.
It's like, yeah.
A little too mechanical in the way that the fingers are just like.
I definitely just go jump in the lake.
Like, have you ever played with those toy ones? Just like that.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah. You do see, yeah, exactly. The hands just like only open or close. One person did have a better looking one though, and it was actually the halfling, the observant halfling Corin. It looks like he has one, and you see that it's actually pretty articulate, and it is actually an extension of. Like it looks like it's a full glove that went to his forearm and then came out.
Nice.
And then it actually looks like it. So the way it looks like it was set up is that it looks like it goes up to actually his shoulder and then extends out as if it was the rest of his arm up to here or so. Now that looks ridiculous on me because that would be making me a lot taller, but that's the whole point. Is it's making him basically twice as high as he is, as well as basic stilts that do the same. But anyway. Cool.
Okay.
So that's just kind of ending with that spot there. It sounds like he was kind of just giving everyone general personal information here. You could tell he was still kind of judging it as a competition because he would mention a couple things here and there, but he didn't tell you specifically.
Right.
Going back to lunch, a bunch of people are eating here. It seems like a lot of people are a little bit more comfortable with the people that are in the room now. Not necessarily best friends for most of them, but
Right.
there's more talking today than there had been yesterday or the day. And one thing that you start hearing is people talking actually about Merrick.
Oh.
And one person says, you know, I've heard rumors that he's stolen from all the major cities in this country. Stolen something from every single one of them, and he's probably got it kept somewhere. What are some rumors that you guys have heard about Merrick? Now, the things that you know is that he's pretty much the most wanted thief in the country you're currently in. It's not Merriam, it's Syria. So it's not the one where the main campaign's going to take place. But he is 100% the most notorious thief in this country and is known in all the surrounding countries with wanted in the surrounding countries. Just not quite for the same amount.
Yeah.
I heard that he stole one of the Yumi bows from the demon slayers.
From the country of Ethelion.
Yeah, and I refer to them as like the demon slayers, whatever that means, because my characters
That's what
yeah,
works.
like that's what they are. They just slay demons. And he's got one of their cool bows, and that's valuable. Whether
Sounds pretty valuable.
I've never even seen a Yumi bow.
They may have a different name than that. Sure, yeah. But
Yeah,
I think that everyone knows what you mean. Some of the other people are like, a couple people agree, like, I think I heard that too. Pretty sure he does have at least one. And one person adds on, they're like, I think that he killed one of their demon slayers to get it.
how do you even do that?
That's really impressive. Sorry, I keep on making myself laugh.
How dare you?
That's totally fine. Laughing's okay. It's not against the rules here.
I heard that he had an affair with an archduchess, and when her husband came home, he sicked the entire their entire house guard on him, and he got away clean, but not without bringing a little something extra with him. You know what?
A couple of people are saying, they're like, yeah, I think I heard that too. I'm pretty sure I heard something about that. And then a couple of them give me slightly varying degrees of the story.
No.
Some people say that he stole an item that was very precious, and then some people are like, you idiot, it wasn't the item
It wasn't
that was precious,
an
it was
item.
the daughter you jacked.
or something.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a lot of the arguments aren't over whether that happened, but the detail of what was stolen and how many people were after him.
Yeah. I heard that Tamerlane the Grey.
And then you've heard at least a rumor, even if it's just mine.
Rumor that
Oh.
A bunch of people are just like,
he's
what?
aware of the
There's
location
not a
and
hidden.
taken.
And some people are like, of course there's the hidden library. Otherwise, how would... And it just goes into a discussion of... It goes into a discussion of whether it exists more than whether he's stolen from it. And the people who agree that it exists are just like, well, of course he's stolen from it. And the people...
If it exists,
If
obviously
it exists, then I'm sure he stole from it. And then other people are just like, well, it doesn't exist, so...
How could he steal from it?
Steal from it. It doesn't exist. And that's what a lot of the arguments about are here. It's not so much whether he stole from it, but whether it exists, and then if it does or doesn't, is where they're just like, yes. This is considered or not considered, but this is something that's a well-known rumor of him, and is often the point of contention in people telling these kinds of stories, where it's not really contention, but it's just like, why are you telling that dumb story? It's not even real. Or people being like, man, how did he even do that?
Yeah.
How did he even find the library
Yeah,
to steal from
that's
it?
the amazing part, is that he found it.
Everyone knows it's in the desert, if it exists, but that's all he knows.
But it does exist.
See?
I don't believe it exists. My character.
Don't you think it's weird
Absolutely.
that these rich people consistently have higher stats than everyone else does? And
What?
Still, your metagaming is on point.
it makes sense that they would have access to something they could.
Right, now I do have to make little blurbs about the countries.
You're welcome.
Now that we've made too many references. No, that's good. But so those kinds of little stories are just kind of popping up at lunch right now. Nothing too crazy, but well, I mean, nothing out of the ordinary for these types of situations. Some of the stories are crazy, yeah, but just kind of a lot of people telling these kinds of outlandish, or even some that are obviously somewhat real, because you're like, yes, this is on his list, on his wanted post. Like we know this happened, but the details are what. But everyone just kind of had a time discussing that. You don't even know how it started, but someone must have started it at some point. But a little while after that, Merrick comes out from behind in the back and pops out and the room goes deathly silent. Like everyone was talking about him, and then
And now he's in
just,
the
like,
room?
Everyone just like stopped talking and like looked at him. He steps out and puts his hands up. Am I interrupting something? Should I go back? And everyone just kind of like looks around, and like kind of a murmur of,
It's your house.
Come on in, boss.
Come on in. Sorry, everyone.
You do you, fam.
Perfect. He comes out and he just goes, okay, well, glad that's taken care of. The next part we're going to do is probably what a lot of you have been looking forward to. I've been banning and not allowing magic for the last 2 days as far as for these competitions. I want you guys to now show me what you can do with your magic that's a benefit to what you do. He says, anything you've got. Use any amount of power, any amount of energy that you have you can spend on this, please do. But just show me how it can benefit you and what you generally do in Texas.
Right now?
He says, we'll do it out on the balcony. So he kind of just like gestures to everyone and says, all right, come on. And so he just kind of takes everyone outside. He's like, grab your chairs. He grabs a chair, takes it outside and puts it down on the lawn outside the balcony. And then gestures and says, when we do this, we'll have whoever's doing the powers go up on the balcony. Please don't burn my house down.
I like it. Oh.
You can use destructive magic, just please do it out over our heads towards the lake, please. The worst that'll happen is we'll lose a couple fish. They'll grow back.
They'll reproduce. Make babies.
Different than growing.
The population.
Plants grow.
It's a figure of speech.
Animals grow too.
It's not important.
He continues talking as if you hadn't heard you guys talking amongst yourself, though. And just that any kinds of magic that is beneficial to you, if you have magic but your friend doesn't, but you need one of your whole party can go up to demonstrate these kinds of things if there's something you usually do as a party, even though only one of you has magic, and he goes through like a quick list of like, basically, do what you need to do, don't destroy my house, don't hurt anyone in the ground.
Easy
And then show me how you can be skilled with your magic to assist in this kind of in thieving situation. He's like, that can be through this. That he just lists like every type of thieving there is, whether it's stealing something, whether it's extracting, any of that kind of thing. Just kind of lists everything. But he says, he just starting to say any volunteers when the Bard family gets up. And just is like, yep.
I did not see them using that. I whisper as a joke.
I stare at you as not a joke.
Not a joke. That's pretty great. But the Bard family gets up and they start playing things, and that bird is in your room now, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I can go get it if I need to.
No, you're okay. I just was asking where it was.
In my room, actually, in my bag of holding. Right now.
Ooh. Sorry, but so they start playing, and at first they play like normal, and you can tell that it's just a really good song, and they really just know what they're doing with their music. And then shortly after that, there kind of is not really an aura, but you can there's a change in the way that this song is feeling now, and instead of just kind of hearing it, you start feeling it like in your chest and in your heart and stuff like that. The kinds of things that bards would say when they're trying to get you to feel emotions or whatever. But anyway,
Feel it in your bones.
you can feel it in your bones. But you start feeling it and sensing those kinds of things, and then suddenly you start seeing like around. You're looking inside. You can see that the wolf heads are starting to move around dance with the music as well. You can. Pretty sure that if your bag of holding is closed, it won't affect anything. But I know. But some of the silverware on the tables inside, you can see start dancing around on top of the table itself, and you can just see like all of these things just start to animate around them, as well as like a couple sticks and leaves that were on the ground. You can almost feel like the water is moving to the music's rhythm now instead of to any kind of weather anomalies. And then you just all of a sudden you feel like you have to pay attention to the mom or to the woman. And you can see that she's just kind of glowing with its eminence, and you can't hardly even take your eyes off of her while she's doing it. She just kind of feels like to you she feels like the fae that you saved. You guys might have a general inkling of that kind of thing as well. And then after a while, it fades. And then that's just kind of where all the things just kind of stop moving around. The silverware all stops, and the wolf heads stop moving around. The elk or the moose head stops moving. And it just kind of that's kind of where it just stops. And then they stand and they take a bow because that's what they do. Yay! Good job, magic people. And then as they stop, you see that actually the sun is not up there anymore, and is at the lake side, and he says, "I could have stolen from all of you." And then he says it out loud before you had noticed he was there. And then when he said it, everyone turns and saw it.
It's like, yeah, I'm an easy hit.
Well,
maybe if I had been trying.
that's true too.
It's
Exactly.
okay,
But
Vincent.
Show 'em what you got.
do you guys want more time?
I
No.
know I'm
Yeah, I'll stand up real quick. It's like, I'll start this off because it might take a while.
Okay. And so he gestures and says, "Go. Feel free. Go up."
Okay. So I go up and I'm immediately
All of you
like,
can go up, right? Or are you going up?
I'm gonna go up by myself at first,
Okay.
and I immediately like look like Merrick. I disguise myself to look like him, and then when I get up there, I dismiss it and I look like I start like going between one person each person, and then I start going with their disguises from earlier, and then I become a knight from the country that we're going to, and I turn my staff into a lance with minor illusion. And I slowly just like cycle through a bunch of like different illusions of myself.
Nice.
And then I just teleport. And I'm just on the roof above everybody. I just misty step up there.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, you guys want to show off too? And I'll misty step back down.
My turn.
Go, Winnie, go, Winnie, go!
Do the thing. Do the thing.
Sorry, I used your not name.
Okay.
No.
So I get up there and I use my prestidigitation to do fun things. I open and close all the shutters.
You pull a whole bunch of handkerchiefs out of your sleeve. There's just so many.
No, I can't remember. Can prestidigitation make smoke? Like fog?
Oh.
Like a
Harmless
little
sense.
bit?
It can do that, yeah.
Okay. So I make a little bit of fog. And then...
It also can, like, enlarge your voice or something like that as well, right? Yeah, or is that
That's thaumaturgy
that's
technically.
thaumaturgy, you're right.
But you can probably word
There's a lot of
somehow to do prestidigitation.
Those two are very similar in my head, and so I get those.
Yeah. 'Cause you can technically make a harmless sensory effect by making something loud, like a voice, kind of, but
change
change like the way your voice.
temperature of something.
I can also make faint musical notes.
Mm-hmm. You can conjure a small coin size, very long. Remember?
A non-magical trinket or illusory image. Lasts
Still
until the
only
end of the
really
next
tiny.
turn.
Yeah, I just make music and fog appear, and then I use firebolt and do that over the top of their heads,
Yeah.
and then
I know.
I don't blame you.
and then I hop onto the railing and like jump and turn into my crow self.
And I'm imagining I'm just changing while you're doing this all. Just like,
And then were you going to demonstrate any actions? Or no?
Um,
I'm just asking because I
yeah, I'm trying to decide because compared to their stuff, I'm kind of like I've got a couple of utility things, you know. I pull a crust of bread out of my pocket that I had saved from lunch, and I cast Animal Friendship and whistle, and and like Sparrow flies down and eats the bread out of my hand.
very nice.
And then, like, some wisps of smoke come out of my hand, and they are all glowing faintly different colors with dancing lights. And then Sparrow flies away, and I clap and cast darkness.
and I walk in the darkness. I walk up to the bard kid because I can see through it. I'm like, I probably couldn't steal from you. Like just like into his ear.
And
You notice that both the twins are watching you walk through the darkness.
mhm. And I'm also walking through the darkness.
Yeah,
And
they're watching the two of you.
I
walk
stand next to Merrick, and I just ask him in a conversational voice, hold up a number of fingers. 4.
He nods, like looking at your general voice area, but not actually at you.
Yeah.
and
And then I turn off the darkness.
then suddenly, whoop, everyone can see again.
I'm just staring at the little kid, bard's child. I'm like,
See, like an old teenager,
Yeah,
or maybe like young 20, somewhere around.
Such a child.
it's like you probably would have noticed me.
Younger than us, but not. I just meant he's not. I don't. A
Yeah.
kid's like kind of relative. I just was wanting to get.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
slightly-
young.
Yeah, young.
Youthfully.
Mhm.
I'm just like, man. I just go sit down.
Going to. I don't even think. Okay.
Offer with the bread. Are you still in
Steichen,
crow form?
I am 100%.
I'm just like,
Steichen goes up by himself and just kind of shows off a bunch of little tricks with his mage hand. Does do a couple minor illusions, but his mage hand starts doing all sorts of tricky things. It's like playing with lock picks and just like twisting them all around its own hand. You can see him kind of mimicking it while the other hand is doing it, but it's not something that a lot of you have seen happen. And you've seen that before?
I
Oh yeah.
have. It's just one I didn't.
well,
So it's something that so this is something that is a little bit metagame, but his thief's level, or wait, which one are
He's
you?
an
Are you an
arcane
arcane
trickster.
trickster too?
Mhm.
Yeah, so not a lot of you have seen it. You guys have, and you are just like, I do that too.
I just thought my crow was way cooler.
He just kind of does that, just kind of messing with things, and then does a couple little minor spells, kind of about the same kind of things that you guys were doing. Little things like little lightning. He like just makes his hands spark with lightning, but nothing too crazy. Let's. Sorry, I'm trying to see who else even has much. Then the Dragonborn and her crew all go up, and they do a bunch of little things. The one they have a gnome in their group, and the gnome does kind of shows off a bunch of things that he's made that you could see are kind of powered by magic. These kinds of things. And he kind of pulls out an alchemy kit where he's just like, and I can make one of these every
And Nazim gets up and he flexes and it glistens.
and everyone's like, not that kind of magic, not that kind no, but so Delmira's group, both the girls, the twins, do a bunch of magic as well. They start doing all sorts of things. A lot of them have to do with you can see them doing a lot of things with shadow. Not quite the same. You can tell it's not the same thing. They are not followers, but
They should be.
maybe they should. But you can tell that they're not.
I'm glad I have an extra book on.
And then they both do a darkness spell as well, and then they do a similar presentation that you guys did in the darkness, and they're like, now these guys stole our thunder, but usually not everyone can do this. And then just kind of they end it there. And he asks if anyone else has any magic they'd like to show off, and no one really says that they have anything to show off in this instance. That's the end of that.
Nice.
And Merrick stands up and maybe a couple people do little minor things about like smoke, but nothing else really impressive.
So, my disguise self, I did it enough times to make it like, I did at least more than the number of spell slots the highest person could have. I was like,
Yeah. Is that just something you can do? Or?
that will.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
It's an invocation, yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering how you were.
Yeah. That's why I was doing that one so much.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I was wondering. But yeah, so you just were doing it so often that everyone was like, yeah, I can do that. And then once you hit about 5 people, they're like,
That's a lot.
and then you hit like 20 people, and they were like,
What is this magic?
And then periodically, like, during people's presentations, I just do it again. Just
Just once in a while. They're like watching you, and they're like, you hear a couple whispers like that.
and we just have a quill sitting on our hand.
Oh my goodness, how's this happening? Anyway.
Moving.
I just want to stress.
Merrick says, all right, everyone, let's go inside. I have a couple things I need to consider. I won't be gone for very long, but I'm going to go back into my room. I want everyone to stay inside this area here for me, please. And he leaves, and he kind of gestures to the barkeeper to come with him, and they go back into the back area of the... I think I'll show you on some map right here.
What?
So they just go into this back room, and then back into probably those back actual rooms back there that Whitney knows.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if everyone does.
I mean, I probably told these two.
Probably.
That's it.
I didn't need to go see him. I'm good.
But everyone kind of gets into that general room, the tavern opening room. They're all looking around. They said, "Is that it? Was that the last of the tests?" Is what they start talking among themselves about. What happens next?
I'm probably on like your shoulder, or I'm just like hanging out on the table.
Are you just staying in crow form?
For now,
How often can you do this?
once a day
Okay.
Currently.
for an hour.
You'll get more.
Yeah.
You should just sit on the railing if there's.
I do have a question. If I end it before my hour, can I do it again but using the remainder of my time?
Typically, no, but with this, we're gonna say yes because this is. So she's not a druid.
No.
This is a skill from her backstory. So, I think that you can.
Okay.
The only time it wouldn't work that way is if you drop to 0 health, similar to.
Right.
Yeah, if you drop to 0 health, then that's it. Or that's it for that one. But otherwise, I don't mind. It's just time total opposed to.
All at once.
Opposed to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially since you're limited to only.
Yep.
Ooh.
I'm just talking to you while we're doing that.
Mm-hmm. You might be able to answer in a couple words too. Crows can do that.
It's true.
Crows can talk
Hello?
like better than a lot of parrots.
Hello.
You know that starlings can talk? Apparently they're very smart. Anyway, tangent.
Birds. Y'all.
A little bit later,
job,
Merrick
Merrick.
does come out, and he comes out with this trolley. Bunch of bags that you can hear kind of clinking around underneath the trolley.
Trolley dears.
I don't have enough.
Kind of like that. You see a bunch of potions on top of the trolley, and then a bunch of bags underneath the trolley. And then he's just kind of walking forward. You also see, you just see kind of a couple little things that are on the trolley. But anyway, he walks forward with this trolley, and he says, "All right, everyone, we've come to the end of our little engagement here. we're going to be discussing a couple things, discussing what decisions have been made. But first, a couple minor details that I want to go through. Many of you may have noticed that there were scrolls hidden throughout my establishment here. If any of you have, you raise your hand.
And
You
as
raise your
he, as he says that, I turn back into my human form, which means I am now standing on.
Tape.
And then I get down.
A minor, but not really a disturbance, since people saw you turn into that.
Right. I just.
So a really quick question. This is important to me. Is it like a puff of smoke, instantaneous effect, or is it like Animorphs transformation here?
I feel like it's a little bit of both.
So it's like a very fast Animorphs kind of thing. Like the special effects team is just like, I don't know, just like put a blur effect on there and just make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't like a whole turn to turn her into an Animorph style crow.
There's no bone goopening or anything going on.
No, I do imagine it's like closer to a puff of smoke, but you do see like a little bit of like morphine towards like the beginning or the end.
It's like Animorphs, but they skip like most of the frames when they end.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm stuck on.
Similar to a Pokemon evolution too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you see is
flicker
like
between like human and.
no, not like the game.
Yeah.
Flicker between human and.
That's how
But in the span,
He's
like
now human.
Just don't accidentally hit B. I was
Which
always so worried that I was going to accidentally interrupt you. Anyway,
I had done, which is funny because like, how do you do that? But you're just like mashing. Like, oh, I was evolving. Guess I'll have to do that again.
move.
I was imagining more of like it just goes white and then it just kind of morphs to the shape. But but anyway.
Yeah. Kind of a thing.
Because that's what it was like in the show. But I also see my mistake of not clarifying that that's what I was thinking. Anyway, you magically turned into a human. It was a brief, not really like, it was a brief kind of like stutter in the conversation because suddenly there was a person on the table, but nothing crazy. And then Merrick goes, first things first, if any of you have the green ribbon scrolls, please go ahead and bring those up to me.
I take 3 up to him.
Yeah, it looks like everyone
Go
has.
stand next to him.
I mean, I'm probably gonna hang out at the bar.
Everyone has at least one. It looks like each group has about one of them. Or so. Actually, it looks like you have a couple more. One group doesn't have one at all. Actually, 2 groups didn't have one at all. And then you stand up and you take those in. He kind of just gestures and says, any of these, and you see what's been marked, like each of them has like a little tag on it as well. But he gestures towards a pile of general healing potions and climbing potions. And he's like, you can take 3 of those.
We want healing or climbing?
Oh,
I have magic to climb.
Take
One?
1 climbing and 2 healing.
And this is just a minor or whatever, the first heal.
Yeah.
This
green.
And then after everyone comes up and all those potions are gone, he then calls out and says, anyone who has blue ones, please come out, go ahead and come up here.
I hand him the blue one.
You have 1 blue one?
One.
Yep.
Now I have to the blue ones.
Here's a looking glass.
it was a
You remember?
no. I
Oh.
was gonna make something up.
I was like, I'm impressed.
It was a flaming burst crossbow.
There was a
with-
couple options, and I'm gonna go find it because I remember I just wrote them down somewhere else. But yeah, a whole bunch of people come up. I think it's only 5 or 6 people total.
Oh, it
you
was
see-
an elf vein flaming burst crossbow.
Oh, it was an elf flaming burst crossbow. That sounds like something I put
It
in
was.
this.
It was.
Yeah.
It was an
Rifle.
anti-paladin rifle.
Huh. Lucky, we needed one of those.
Oh, yeah, definitely could use
really
one.
what it was?
With infinite ammo?
Of course. So why would I put any limits on ammo? It's replenishing even.
Was a bag of
Floundering?
500.
tricks. It was a gray bag of tricks.
A bag of
Actually, might have
500
been.
ball
I'm
bearings.
not sure right now.
You gotta go take a research.
If it was a gray bag of tricks, I might explode with joy. That would be great. Whoop. It's on my
It
list
is
of
a
magic items I
cloak
want.
of useful things.
Give me a second.
It is a spyglass. Just a spyglass.
It's nothing. He just gives me the scroll back.
He's like, actually, here.
I don't-
This has my handwriting.
It is a
This will get you
flatter-
a pretty price.
In certain circles.
There's a number of different things that are on there, but you do see a bag that you're pretty sure you recognize.
The gray bag of tricks. That is what I grabbed.
You grabbed it. There's a couple of different things that are on there, like 5 things total. One of them was a bag of tricks. You see a robe of miscellaneous items or whatever it's called. You also do see. Sorry, there was a couple things on there. I guess it sounds like you already got what you wanted anyway, though. So.
Yep.
And after everyone gets all of those miscellaneous items that were on top of there, he does then say, the last thing, there was only one of them was the purple, the one with the purple ribbon. Did anyone have that? And he nods and says, that's pretty impressive. He nods and says, go ahead, come up here, and I got the last one. He takes it from him and he says, and he pulls out some gloves from his back pocket and he says, these are for you. Not lose them. Use them whenever you need, or I guess your group, I don't care. Use them how you see fit. They've done a lot of good for me in my life in Kansas. You recognize them of, now their official name would be Merrick's gloves, but they're gloves of peace.
Okay.
What was the blue thing?
I got a gray bag of tricks.
Nice.
So tricksy. Roses.
Nasty.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so he finishes doing that, and then he says, all right, now it's time for the news. He pulls up the bags from underneath, and it's obviously bags of gold. And he says, I've taken a number of days from you all. Those who decided to leave before were each given 100 gold coins. Anyone who I'm dismissing now will be given 250 coins. I know that compared to this, it is not quite what you were hoping for going into this competition, but I had to limit the amount of people who are actually going to be joining me. I hope that this pittance or this amount will be able to keep you honest and to make it so that anything that was said while we were here is kept to yourself. And then he says, so, I have chosen who's going to be staying. Anyone who I don't say their name, or any group that I don't say the name of, please take your money, and I would prefer not to see you again, at least not till everything is finished. Not seek me out, not come back here.
We need a smart team name.
Ema.
He says, he points out a bunch of different people. He first points to Rolf and the rest of the bards and says, need you on my team. He points to Bill and Syken and says, you two, you're on my team as well. Points to Nizam Buckman and his group, the orc in his group, and says, you guys, gonna have to keep you here, but you need to stay a little bit less out there in the open. Be a little more inconspicuous if you can, please. Pointing directly at me.
At the glistening man himself.
Yeah, pointing at Glistening Man himself. Why does he even need a name? And then points at the Dragonborn group and says, we definitely need you guys as well. And then last but not least, he points at you guys and says, you guys just barely squeaked in here, but I'm going to need you guys. And then he says, everyone else, you're going to be dismissed. Please come up here and grab. Please come up here and get the payment. and then everyone does. You see that most of them, the drunk tieflings, they look like they were just happy to be here and get drunk for the last few days. The ugly humans, or at least the one that had an ugly human with them, they look like they're content to be paid the 250 gold. Like, they don't look like they look very content to get that money. And then the last one was a half elf and 2 elves that I'm sure I put a name on before, but I don't remember. Was now family?
Not Zeta, right?
I don't know. No, not Zeta. Well, Zeta's not Zeta right now. So anyway, the half elf. Oh yeah, there's 2 elves and a half elf. They're the elf family right now. They go up, they get their coins, they look content as well and leave. Zeta and those the 2 in her party get up, and you can see that Zeta is obviously like, looks like barely controlling the rage in her eyes, and you can actually kind of see a little bit of smoke. Looks like it's rising off of her body a little bit too. The other 2 look like they're kind of trying to calm her down. There's the half orc is kind of just like arm on her shoulder, just kind of calming her, and you can see that the halfling that's with speaking, like, hey, 250 gold is nothing. But she is just fuming, and she takes the gold. He then, once everyone leaves, all the ones who didn't make it, Merrick stands up again and says, all right, look around. This is who's going to be stealing the Staff of Resurrection. We're going to get this taken care of. We're going to need to work together. We've worked with each other a little bit, or at least talked with each other a little bit now, but we're going to need more than that. He says, for the next week, what I'm going to want you all to do is work together and build your skills together. There's people in here who excel at what they do. There's people in here who excel at doing things that you may have never seen before or don't understand. What I want you all to do is take the time, build your skills together. Got a week before we're going to actually execute this plan. Please take that time to get to know each other at least a little bit better, as well as to really learn from each other. He says, I'll still be here, but there's things I need to plan. I'm going to be mostly in and out. You guys use this retreat as you need to. You can use some time to relax, but now is the time to prepare yourselves for the next part of our plan. And with that, he just kind of says, so you have the rest of tonight and a week. Get everything you can taken care of. And now, as far as mechanically what that means, you are all leveling up, first off. For this next week, you're going to be leveling up. And if there is anyone that you're wanting to get to know specifically, we can kind of talk about that. And then you are all going to be able to learn one skill or something from someone. So if you don't have acrobatics in it, get yourself acrobatics. If you don't have skill in lock picking, and that's something you wanted to get, go ahead and choose that as something that you want to get. So long as there is someone in this tavern that has it, we're going to consider that you can learn one thing from anyone.
So I can learn perception.
Yes, you can get perception assistance from perception halfling. If you want, I may allow double perception or like that in some instances. So
that's probably gonna be. I already like him.
Yeah. So if you want to stick with your good friend Corin, that is Corin. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Corin Brandyman. If you want to work with Corin Brandyman and you don't have perception, you can get it. If you already have perception, in his case, I would allow double perception.
I do not.
And then if you ask about it, I may have double perception or double proficiencies on some people, but that's only if someone in the group already has it. Which some people do have double perception.
Yeah.
So again, it's just that they can't teach it unless they already have it. But that's the only restriction for this week of training. So
Training montage, everyone.
It's gonna be so fun for all of you to sit here and be like, "Oh, we're training montaging."
Me and Corin are just staring at people.
Yeah. So
Did Arla stay?
yes,
Carla and Nesta.
I think Arla's
they're
with Corin's group, right?
Arla is with Corin.
So we're with the same group. If you're studying,
Yay!
trying to learn something from her.
Fashion.
Yeah.
Get
So is that
fashion
insight?
proficiency.
That's not something I was.
Sorry.
I mean, yes, but no.
Basically, what I would
Like-
get is if you actually wanted to work on that, you could just get. Oh, and if you don't have thieves' cant, you can. By the way,
Is that in addition?
Can I learn
So-
another
or-
language
Okay.
no.
other than thieves can't?
If anyone has it, you can learn another language. So what I'm saying is you're basically getting one of any kind of
Okay.
skill.
I'm good with
Or-
perception.
Yeah, exactly. So you're getting just percent. Like, is it just perception or double?
Just the one step up.
Okay, sounds good. And then, sorry, I'm just trying to get a general idea. So yeah, I'm saying one of any kind of skill, not necessarily like racial feats and things like that, but if you don't have land driving or whatever the crap that's called, you get
Yeah,
it.
vehicles.
If you
I
don't
have
have,
that, so
if you
no,
don't
yeah.
have brewer's kit and you've always wanted to learn to be a brewer, I happen
there
to
a-
know a dwarf who can do some brewing. Or actually, the dwarf might not.
What
but
about in
the innkeeper?
herbalists?
I am not actually sure if any of these people are herbalists. That's actually one I'd have to double check on because I don't think off the top of my head.
Learn another.
I think I'm probably going to go for stealth from. Let me see.
You have
It wasn't Bill, was it?
passions.
No.
It was Bill.
It was Bill.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna try to get. Bill
Viking's
to-
pretty good too, but Bill was definitely the lockpick as well as the stealth.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if that's what you want, go ahead and get that 100%.
And then I'm also going to be teaching people insight, I think, by quoting from a book that I never let anyone see, mostly. And
Yes,
talking about
yes.
the importance of self-mastery.
Of course.
You know.
The usual.
The usual.
Yeah, no, that works just fine.
A previous build I had of this guy had a religion proficiency. But
But not this one.
not this one.
He doesn't know religions. He knows his religion.
Yeah.
That's two very different things.
It's very different. And it's not really a religion, it's more of like a moral philosophy about.
Yeah. So we've got observation, we got stealth, and then what were you planning on? I mean, you're gonna be hanging out mostly with Arla. Now
Talking about fashion. Is
Talking
she
about
also
fashion.
acrobat?
let me double check Arla's.
I think I remember she did the acrobatic test with Sirius. I think.
So I'm not sure if she is acrobatic or just the best out of options. And that's what I need to go. Because being acrobatic and being the most acrobatic in your group are two
Two
different.
different things.
So I just got the ability to fly, guys.
Nice.
I can do it up to my proficiency a day for 10 minutes. And
Not bad.
this one's a long rest, specifically, not a short rest.
Nice.
And it's hovering too, so it's not like I have to stay in motion.
That is nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Well, look at you go, ruining all my plans.
I'm pretty sure I'll be very noticeable flying, but
Yeah.
it's nice to
Like,
have.
unless you also get the ability. Invisible.
Or if you're just guys for.
Yeah.
Disguise and invisibility.
All of the above.
And-
I just meant that it wouldn't be him flying.
Ah, that makes sense.
I'll become
He
an
may be
Eric.
noticeable, but it wouldn't
I'll
be
become an
him.
Eric Holker, guys.
That makes
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm.
I also now resist fire damage.
That's a pretty cool little level up you just got.
It really is. Is that all I get from this level?
All? Is that all?
Yeah. I learned another spell. That's another thing I need to look at.
Can I become more intelligent?
If you get like an ability modifier,
If there is a feat that will give it to you,
Ooh.
I would allow.
there are feats.
So I'm not just going to give you 2 intelligence, but I would allow, Well, no, because there's probably not a feat that it's hard. I don't think anyone can just teach you to
so
be
we
more.
could get a feat from someone and not just a
As long as it's a
They
feat
did- there's
that
not a
somebody
lot
can
of
teach
people
them.
with feats,
as long as
but
it's a
yes.
feat that's.
Yeah. Which kind of limits.
I don't think I think
Which kind of really
I
limits it, to be
need
honest.
the. Oh, I do.
Why is investigation under intelligence?
Because it's how good you are at deducting and analyzing things, going down more of a list of things, where perception's more of just kind of all your senses and quick noticing.
Yeah, perception is noticing things, and investigation is finding things.
Yeah, through deductive
by
reasoning.
yeah, and like
etc.,
actively like knowing what questions to ask.
or knowing the right way to analyze the room to find things. Anyway,
Right.
So
That being
it's all right. Who am I looking for? Arla.
Mm-hmm.
So Arla, she does have acrobatic. Or what did you ask for acrobatics? She
Mhm.
could teach you acrobatics.
Yeah.
By the
That's
way,
really
was
common.
there a language that you all had or one? Never mind. That's
I speak common and elvish.
You mean like beyond?
I also
Because I want to say
I think
yeah.
I
Never
could.
mind. If perception's what you want.
I have comprehend language as a spell,
Hmm.
so if I really need to, I can. I'm not too worried about learning
You
a new
can learn
language.
acrobatics from either or. I just meant that they have the skill, not necessarily they're going to talk to you.
I'd like to roll to smack Nesta.
Yeah, I can learn.
I'd like to seduce Nesta and then not show up for our date.
Sounds about right.
Irish.
Yeah. So now you're down to only 4 groups you really need to know themselves. So, at this point, it's been nearly cut in half. But so the Bard family is Rolf Farengray, Shalantha Farengray, with their children Xander Farengray and Tana. The second group is Bill Brushcloak and Syken, with no last name. The third group is the gorgeous half-orc of Nizam Buckman, Kaleril Durathil, who's one of the elves with him, and Neril Elothin, who's also the elf, and then Krog Ironshield, who's a dwarf. And then there's your last group, which was Delmira Drabor, the Dragonborn, Laramo Nessic, who's a gnome that you now know is a gnome tinkerer or a Artificer, thank you. Artificer, and then Nesta and Arla Belltower, who are the twins, with Corin Brandyman, who is the Observant.
Me and him spend too many nights where I just keep him awake.
Yeah, so what he's doing,
What were Rolf's children's names? Rolf and Shalantha.
Rolf and Shalantha's kid's name is Xander Farengray, who's the male, and then Tana, who's the...
Okay.
And then, that's all of those guys. As for what you are all learning, with you, Grayson, he basically is just asking you things. He basically is telling you to be observant.
He's Sean Spencering me.
Maybe.
Have you ever seen Psych? To see how his
I
dad
have seen
how
some.
his dad teaches him.
Kind of like that. So he's kind of doing the
How many
Sean
hats in the room?
Yeah, things like that. And then if you're getting them off, he'll give you a hint to how to, basically just explaining an extra way to remember something like that or to notice something. He's like, I've always just done it naturally. Sorry, look. He just kind of says, I've always done it natural, but people say doing this, and then you can just kind of. But all week he basically and possibly will occasionally do it while you guys are traveling as well, moving forward. And then you were learning from Bill.
Yeah.
Bill basically just goes through and he goes into the forest and basically runs that capture the flag thing with you.
Yeah.
Where he'll just be paying attention, but he actually occasionally grabs Cord to help. Just because he knows that both Bill and Syken are working with you. They're both paying attention to what they can notice while you are trying to not be. It's not necessarily capture the flag, because he just gives you different objectives to do first.
Yeah.
While trying to, and they're not actually trying to catch you. So they are there while you do it, and then they go to the spots and they say, hey, you know, down here, you definitely stepped on some of these twigs, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, or watch out for this kind of a location, or some people think that leaves are going to be helpful in some way. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stuff like that. And then later, after you work there for a minute, they kind of have you start sneaking around in the stuff while they're in other, and start giving you hints more for building to outdoors.
Yeah.
And then Whitney,
Mm-hmm.
they Arla does take you to those bamboo. Some of the tests, she's like, really handy that these are here.
Yeah.
But kind of uses those as things. Then does take you to the just trees in general and starts going from branches to branches. Kind of gives you hints of like, continue using your momentum, or watch out for these kinds of things. Also, she kind of has you just like
Engage your core.
engage your core, whatever. But she does also have you do things that you hadn't really thought of before, like just doing a handstand against a wall for 30 minutes or so. Before, after a while, she takes you. So doing a handstand and putting your feet against them, so that you're not using your full strength. And then after a while, she starts lifting your feet up, so you're straight up and down. And then she starts she's basically just training you to walk on your feet to help you with it.
Cool.
And then that's all three of you guys. Merrick occasionally comes in and says like a quick tidbit of quick something here and there while he's around, but most of the time Merrick. After that, Merrick does come back. Yeah.
Does anybody try to learn anything? I didn't saw that, so.
I didn't know you're that. No, I'm just kidding.
Hate when it happens.
I'm just kidding though. I think that a couple people are, in general, I think that they're asking for everyone for help, just mechanically. Get things specifically. But I think everyone's asking you a couple of things, like they mentioned. Some of them do mention that, but they kind of get the idea that it's not something they can learn from you. But a lot of people are asking you. Some people are coming to you for the lock picking as well, especially because you're around Bill, so they're asking you and Bill together. Hey, you guys did really well. Can you guys give me some things? And they do come to you as well, asking a little bit about. Well, first off, how did you turn it pro? They ask if you were Drew.
So, I was born a crow.
Yeah.
And then I asked to be a human, and
All those things.
the face said yes.
There you go.
And it happened.
It's super simple. But so there's a lot of intermingling, getting hints and tips and things. And I assume that people are kind of staying one-on-one for a lot of things. I was just focusing on relationships more.
I just want to make sure people were coming down.
People are asking you questions, at least trying to get ideas of things. A lot of them know some of the skills you guys have. I think that a lot of them are asking Merrick tips whenever he's here, but not often. And then, but some of them are asking you guys for specific skills that they saw you guys do. And I think that would be focused on lock picking, some of the observation and cheating, though. They would have asked about that as well. But seeing that you were with Thermo getting observation, focused on from you a little bit. Everyone's kind of working with everyone in one another here.
I just want us to be.
I want to be good.
We were also the bottom tier, so Like, yeah, they got skills.
I don't know if it's quite like that, but
We were all a little bit more generalist.
a little bit, yeah. But in general,
okay.
I think that people are still asking you things, and a lot of people, I think they're trying to get a feel of what people can do. So it isn't that they're asking for a lot of advice from you, but trying to see where you're at, what they can to work with and to help with, because
Like, what's
right now is
the
also the
river?
time to kind of get a general feel for the.
Yeah.
You guys have taken personal preferences of about one each person each, as far as mechanics go here.
Right.
Yeah.
But in general, everyone's kind of working together to make this more of a singular crew than individuals who are kind of.
Yeah.
After near the end of the week, not quite at the end, but Merrick does come back and gets back. He says, "I need everyone to get gathered up. We need to actually talk about some things." He gets everyone into. He gets everyone into a room, and he says, "All right, we need to decide what we're going to be targeting first, and I'm going to lay the basic groundworks for what the plan actually is here." He starts talking, and he says, "In this nation, they have a number of different artifacts. What I want to do is to target those before targeting the main artifact of the healing, the Staff of Resurrection. They have a number of other ones, including a Staff of Healing that's not quite as good, but still widely used." He says they have their beads, their fire prayer beads that really work quite well, and they have a gem of seeing that helps them to visit and speak with their god and with their god's messengers. They have a horn that can take down whole walls and whole buildings. He says there's a number of different things. They also have dimensional shackles. I don't want to get those personally, but they could be useful if we needed them for some of their otherworldly angels and otherworldly messengers. He says the one problem is that they are shackled onto a bailer from the devil invasion. So I'm not sure I want to deal with or even get close to it. But it is technically something I'll consider and think. He says I believe there are 6 or 7 of these artifacts total, but I have them written down. I just have to find it somewhere.
While you look for
Yeah.
character knowledge, do I have any leads as to where I might start looking for Garroway?
I don't think you specifically have leads at this point.
Certainly.
You know that he is, at this point, what you know is that he has become a high priest. And that likely he's at one of the bigger of these cathedrals, which you do notice is pretty well consistent with one of the places that you're going to be stealing from. So you know that you're on the right track, if not knowing exactly. But you might get more information from any of these, because his name, especially if you're going to the right circles, you might be able to get that information. And so you should be able to find him, at least moderately, an idea of where.
What's his name? Arrowway?
High Priest Garroway Duval.
Hmm.
Got a bone to them.
There are 7 different locations, each of them with a magic item. And he starts talking about them. The first one he'd mentioned is
I think the only one you didn't list, the Helm of Teleportation.
the Helm of Teleportation is the last one. So there's all of those are the 7 items that you could possibly get. And they kind of just go, each of the main cathedrals has one of them. There's 7 magic items total, including the Staff of Resurrection. There's 6 lesser artifacts that they have, that they consider holy artifacts that they received from the Bloody Crusade, or as they call it, the Crimson Crusade. And then there is the Staff of Resurrection that was also received during that same time. Grand total of 7 magic. Merrick is suggesting that we steal as many of the minor ones, or the lesser ones, use those to assist in attaining the staff of Earth. Says now I have only very general basic information about each of these countries and the cathedrals within. I know a couple of informants at each locations, and if any of you know more, then that would be beneficial. But I think the first thing we need to decide is where we want to hit, and and kind of decide a hierarchy of what we want to get in which order. Yeah.
I have seen it helps them communicate with their deity, or
It helps them in ways of being able to always see them. So not necessarily a direct communication from what I understood, but if there's any angels or any otherworldly being found, then they can see that they are there. These beings, from what I understand, aren't always able to be seen, but the gem makes it so they can be known.
oh, it's not like cutting off the ways of
No.
okay.
Still would be useful.
Yeah, it would be useful because
Useful for us to use as well as for them not to have.
yeah. I'm not saying we don't steal. I was just thinking it'd be good to cut off a communication point. Oh, that was a tactic I used in my youth.
He then just says, all right, so that is a good point to note that if we can see those things, try to assist us in the long run, to see extra entity things that are around us, and even to stop them from being able to see if they have other worlds.
And I assume that each of these are under different levels of guardship, like the Baylor may be under, actually it could be either way, higher or lesser, because who would actually want to release a Baylor? But they could also have a lot more units or soldiers there due to it possibly be released.
He nods and says they will all have varying degrees. I do not know the level of I don't know the level offhand of how much resistance or how much defense is there. All that I know is that they are definitely all defended. They're holy relics to this country. And then he says, and knowing, this country is definitely used to be highly militaristic. It still is militaristic, but its current leader is of the opinion of healing being important. So it is not currently acting in a militaristic manner, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't switch. He says, so what you want to know is that they are still a militaristic. They, their religion does teach strength of arms, does teach war and being prepared for it. So if we do start stealing any of these, chances are any other location will be more heavily fortified after.
We need to be as sneaky as possible. We probably don't have too many details on how often they check or use these items, do we?
Likely they check them somewhat. I maybe not daily, but Merrick kind of shrugs and says, there's not much more information right now. I visited the country occasionally. I've been to a couple of these, and I have some basic information about them through intelligence gathering. And then he says, is there any location, any of the countries I can kind of explore, any of the cities that they're in? But not extensively. I've never lived for an extended period.
I assume the helm of teleportation might be one of the most used.
I think the helm and the
Yeah, what city is the helm in?
He says that the helm of teleportation is Tanatra. It is known for that country is known, or that city is known for the giant octopus. And it does have the helm of teleportation. Larger city, I don't know much more. They're known for their ink. They use that ink for a lot of it. It's really good quality ink. Those octopus. That's about all I know about it. And the cathedral's pretty tight knit. Not sure what that cathedral. Some of them have focuses, but the other one you said was the gem, right? So the gem of seeing, and he kind of just shuffles through a bunch of notes that it looks like he's gathered. The gem of seeing is in Flosalis. That country is known for the beautiful flowers that it has, and those flowers are actually used in making the paper that they use. The cathedral itself is most well known for its library and is primarily a library cathedral. It focuses a lot on knowledge, and maybe why they keep that gem of seeing as well. I've heard that the gem of seeing helps with worldly beings. I don't know much more than that. But if it's a gem of seeing things, then maybe knowledge. He kind of shrugs and says, "Not sure." He says they also have some really cool crabs there. Not sure about anything else though. Again, this is a general idea of what they have. I know the magic item or the artifact that they have there. Some basic information, but until we get there, we stay in the city.
Look around at the rest of the groups. Like, does anybody have a preference?
The half-orcs group really doesn't have any preference whatsoever, and well, they do prefer the Helm of Teleportations thing. They none of them said they wanted anything, and then Krog was just like, getting into places we shouldn't is kind of a nice thing to have. And then Bill and Syken both. However, Corin, then supported by Delmir Dragonborn, are very heavily preferring the gems. Rolf and his family are not of any strict opinion. Way. They actually do believe that they're of the opinion that we should go to wherever's heaviest guarded, but they are not certain that they can tell based on
What
the information we have. So they're just their argument, Rolf and his family's argument, is that if we are doing this, then if we do the hardest first, then it may be that it will get not as many reinforcements. If it gets reinforcements, it may be harder down the line. Is kind of what their mind is at.
Fair.
But
then
Merrick is pretty well just agreeing that in any of those options. But we don't have an idea of which is heaviest guarded right now. Have the resources to find out. So at this point, he says, we need to focus on what's going to assist us most in the long run to get the staff. Again, don't forget everyone, the point of this is to steal the Staff of Resurrection. The goal is to get all these artifacts if possible, but if they get too heavily guarded, we're not going to be able to. So, we need to get what's going to be most beneficial to us first, in my opinion.
I do think, me personally, speaking for my crew, I think the Helm of Teleportation would be the most useful to begin.
Does seem to have the most votes in general.
I do agree with that.
Okay.
Help us get in.
Merrick kind of looked around the room, and a couple people look like they're not fully for that being the best option. Specifically, it's just Corin and Delmir are not fully supporting it. Rolf and his family are still of just the opinion that that's where we're starting, Not too much that having a strict opinion on it. But the other two groups strongly agree with you. And Merrick nods and says, either of those two would have worked for me. Let's start planning on it. He points to Bill and Syken and says, you two, go ahead and start now. Get there. Let's get our basis going. If you can make any connections, please do. The rest of us, we're going to go staggered after they have a couple of days head start, and then we're probably each going to go one. So. And from there, we're going to go ahead and pause, have our break halfway through this, and we'll be back after this brief break.
I might have to do something. We can discuss it.
Oh, Corin,
yeah.
I see it. I was like, have the viewers do something?
No.
All of our many viewers.
So, all right, we'll see you guys after the break. All right, everyone, we are back. We just left off where decisions have been made of where we were going, and we were just about to send off our first group, which is Bill and Sam. But before that happens,
So I pull out my book, and I open it up to. I have 2 pages with their names on each page, and then I flip over to another page. I slide it over to one of them. It's like, I need one of you to write your name here, and we can try to communicate with you while we're here. I can always erase your name later.
Bill writes his name.
Okay. Spin it around, and I start writing in it. I'm like, this is what it will be like, and it like just appears in his head.
You like see his like a look of surprise. Out of curiosity and flavor, does he hear it in his own voice, or would he hear it in your voice?
I think it's a weird conglomeration of the 2 of us.
Yeah. So he can
Like, it's his voice, but it's like my speech pattern.
so he can tell it's not coming from his own thoughts,
Yeah.
but it still kind of sounds like his own thoughts.
Yeah.
It sounds like him imagining.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that.
That sounds good. So it's not quite your voice because it was wrong, because it's the way he remembers you.
Yeah.
So someone who knows you better hear it probably more correctly in your voice. But especially someone who's new at this and doesn't know you that well, is hearing it in kind of a weird, not quite your voice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then if he like tries to respond, it just like appears on the book. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have to speak it out loud,
I
or
think
can
it's
he
just
think
like
it?
mentally send thinks it.
yeah, he might say it out loud as well, but
If it helps him.
yeah, that's
But
a
it's not a requirement.
no. It's not a requirement.
So he thinks back at you and says, "What, like this?" And then
Yeah, it's like
page. As out of curiosity, writing, or would it be in his handwriting?
it's how I imagined it.
It's if
I
you
feel like
were
this one's-
pretending to do.
I feel like this one's a little bit more of one or the other.
I think it's his. We'll just go with their hand, like whoever's handwriting it is. Although, if they have horrible handwriting, it's still like legible. So it might clean up some people.
Cleaned up, but their handwriting.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So that's what happened. Bill looks at it. He looks pretty impressed with the whole thing. He asks, "Is there a limit on how far away, or will this anywhere on the continent?"
In theory, anywhere on the continent, but only I can initiate this. So there is a limit to that.
Could we set a time, maybe?
Like I don't imagine. I like to Merrick's like I don't imagine we'll be traveling all together anyways. But would you like me to just kind of establish a checkup?
He shrugs and says, "I don't see a reason not to. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Just let me know around what time, so I cannot be surprised with thoughts and."
I'm ready every time of day. What's best for you?
End of day, beginning of day.
He kind of like shakes his head and says, he really looks like he's contemplating this for a long time. And thinks, typically not at night. That's when that's like it really depends on the town. He says, for now, go ahead and message me at nights, because I'll be traveling. I'll let you know if we need to change that depending on each time you come.
Sounds good. Yeah, and if you need anything on those communications, we'll try to grab you. Pick up stuff on the way.
How many names?
I can hold 3,
Right now you're.
but I can erase one of you guys.
Yeah, you could erase me. Just erase me.
Or
Good
me.
I do
I don't
offer.
want to be young.
Like, would anybody else like this communication with specifically me?
Corin volunteers. He says, if there's a spot, I'll do it.
Okay. I turn back to the page with Cirrus's name on it, and I touch it, and it just fades away. And I spin it around, and I present it to him.
He writes his name.
Warren and Bill.
And I'll be with you.
Yeah, so Corin and Bill volunteered for it. Or I guess, you went up to Bill and you're like, "Ooh," and then asked, and no one else volunteered.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can, if they need something before everybody shows up to town, we can hopefully bring it with us.
Sounds good to me. Later that evening, or possibly the next morning, I think the next morning, Bill and Syken leave next morning. And then Merrick sets up a time frame where everyone basically would either the next day or 2 days later, depending on if someone says they need it. Basically just sets it up where it's about a day, sometimes 2 days to stagger you guys. Do you guys have a preference of where you'd want to be? So, no? Okay. So I think he's going to send you guys probably. So the way that he sets it up, then he's going to send Bill and Syken first. He's going to send the bards next.
Makes sense.
And then he's going to send in. Actually, I think he'll be second to last. So he's going to send in Nizam and their acrobatics team next, and then you guys, and then Delmir, the Dragonborn. So, not quite middle of the pack, but and so that's where you guys are going to be. He gives you a map as to where everything is, and unfortunately, I don't have it copied.
It's okay.
Here.
Just rough for the
This is my rough one. So here's the map that everyone, because I can do that. This is the map of the country, specifically where they are going. This. You think this does something, but it doesn't. Ignore it.
Womp womp.
But on that map, there's a number of different places. There has been a King's Road, or at least that's what most locations refer to it as, that has been established and goes through every country. It specifically was created by Sirion for trading routes and because they were trying to unify the continent a little bit more, and is maintained in varying degrees by each country, their own devices. This would take you directly from where you're at, or once you get to the King's Road, would take you directly to their capital city, where the Staff of Resurrection is. You'll follow it most of the way until you split off to get to the other country. Or the other city. From where you're at, it would take roughly 16 days to get to where you're going. So, roughly 16. You could maybe cut a little bit of time by not taking the King's Road all the way to their capital, but it would be a lot less safe. Or you could probably cut across and cut at least 2 days off if you cut across and away from the capital, or just kind of get to the capital, go around it. It'll be the 16 days, but that would be by far the safest. By the most guards as well. So right now, not a concern. Maybe later.
On this map, will you just show them? Is it the weird little hand grabby thing? If you want to point it out with your cursor, for the
You mean
they can see where my name is.
Yes, they can see where your name is.
So is it this area that we're going to?
Let me double check here.
Okay.
You're going to the helm.
Yes.
Good lead.
I'm trying to remember where it is.
Yes, you're right. Actually, it is down there.
That's where the octopus is.
Yep. Okay. So it is where that little gray note is. So it's actually a little bit less time than I just said.
Nice.
I don't see a reason not to take the King's Road unless
The King's Road does basically
you're
go
going to
straight
lose your
through it.
temper
So
at every.
Gray, if you'll put it just a little tiny bit north of where you had it before. So put that mouse a little north of where you had it before.
Before?
Yeah. So a little bit further north. You're going to a different city. So go up north, higher, right here.
Oh, that much.
Yeah, so that's about where the capital is.
That's the
cap.
So that's about where the capital is. So it's about 3 days or so away from the city you guys are actually headed to. You could go straight through the main city to get there. because the main road is basically going to go straight through there, and then you go from down. Would by far actually be the quickest and effective and safest route. So you can go through the city, around the city, but either way, it's probably going to take you about probably right about 12, maybe a little 11 or 12 days to get there. Just
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
We'll just go through.
cool. Sounds good. Yeah, that's the plan. There's no reason not to go through, especially at the I mean, at worst, just go around the city itself, not the city gates.
Right.
Should be good. Sounds good. We'll go ahead and we'll start getting this going. Generally, what I do, letting the viewers or possibly future viewers know, is that I only have a couple of things that I would do for encounters. Not even actually have an encounter, but generally not have a whole lot of opportunity for it unless there's a reason. So going through your first day, you kind of go through that same general area you've been to before. And then you went through that first city that you started in. Once you get a little bit further in, you get to a guard post. It looks like once you get to the King's Road, there's actually a guard's post right there at the this is in this country right north of where you guys are actually headed to, and it's the one that maintains it the most is the roads. They actually have guard posts every few miles that are actually but they just let you through. There's no they have like a little gate that goes across it, but it's not up, it's not down at all. There's just a couple people who can wave you by as you pass. That continues for that full day. There's nothing that happens. It's a good day. As you're checking in with everyone, basically as what they say is just that still good, no worries traveling kind of thing. The next day you continue going through the same thing, past a number of guard posts, each of them with about the same idea. They see that you don't have any. You guys said you didn't have a wagon, right? No. So you could, but so they just let you pass by. No, hardly like really, basically no inspection at all. Just through. You make it that way, no problem. That day was a little bit gloomy, no rain or anything. You know. What kinds of things are you guys talking about while you guys are walking? Because this is quite a bit of time here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to do any depth conversations, but what kinds of things come up when you're traveling?
I think I'm speculating, like, how do we split all these items at the end of this? Do you think it's gonna be he gives us each one of these, or is he just giving us gold to help?
I
Probably is. Gold?
seems most likely that he said he's only interested in the staff. So they'll probably each be assigned a value, and the value of taken for all spoils, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things I just want to speculate.
Cool. So that's one thing you'd focus on. Anything that either of you would focus on the walk? It's only been 2 days, so.
No.
That's fine. Just curious.
I'd
Anything-
probably be asking about what is considered an even trade.
we keep on trying to explain the concept of money,
Yeah.
and it's especially funny because Cirrus does not care about money. like you can use it to improve your material circumstances, but I don't need it with my current lifestyle. I get what I want, and
Do I need it with my current lifestyle?
no, not really. See, the funny thing
Why?
is that, well, it's because in 5th edition there's nothing to spend your money on. So
There's plenty of things.
tell you what I want to spend all my money on. Army.
Technically possible. So,
Gonna buy a bunch of sheep, send them through the Tomb of Horrors. See which ones live. Follow them.
I was going to say, gosh dang it.
My plan.
No. You're not allowed to have a sheep in your lap. It's gonna eat your tree.
Oh yeah, never mind.
That poor tree.
My Rowan.
Yeah, it's not too important, but I was gonna say that typically what would happen is going into the game details here. I'm using the add-on that someone made that adds like different followers and what the prices are for fortresses and followers or something like that. But anyway, I might have to put it there. But basically, it says amount of daily how much it would be to rent these guys out. I would probably just do it an upfront contract of X amount of days paid up front, kind of. Instead of trying to have you guys figure out, I have to pay how much each day, kind of. But minor, very, very minor. Moving to this next part here. The next day, after you guys have a good discussion about how the money, what you guys are going to do with the money. Most of these days look like they're pretty well going by without too much of anything happening. On one of the nights that you're talking to Bill, he does mention that there was some sort of it looks like there was some sort of a wagon that was tipped over and crashed and stuff, but there was no one there at all. He mentions that he didn't go to it. He had no desire to go to it. Done, didn't help. He's like, if there was anyone there, I didn't check. Don't want to help him. If you want to check it, you can, but I didn't trust it. I didn't want to check it. He just said, I just walked right by. He says you'll probably run into it in a couple days here. And a couple days puts you at about, you're about to the border of the country is where you're about to stumble across this wagon that has just, you see it's been up. Looks like it's been.
Is it, where is it in relation to the road? Road next to the road?
It's just kind of next. So there's the road, and then it's kind of crashed and next to the road, just kind of barely off the road. It's not blocking or on the road at all, except for maybe like it's hitched or something slightly. So that's about it.
You want to check it out?
I'm curious.
Okay.
Who would leave it? Oh, the axes.
I don't know that the wagon's good.
You can tell that quite a few things are broken.
I'm gonna walk past the wagon and a little bit off the road.
Yeah, you would still be. Sorry, just looking at the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you walk into the woods a little ways. Do you have survival skills at all?
No, I don't. Odd.
Just asking.
I do.
No.
But
I can ask the local animals for help.
um,
Forgot I had survival.
can you hand me my monster manual real quick? You're not getting attacked. There's just things I need to look at that I don't.
Who could you?
Are you looking for different animals that could come?
Partially, not. And I'm not even sure if I have the right. Actually, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You do call out to the animals. They come to you. They're helping you out. So, William used. I think I did one. Right, actually. But so you're asking them about kind of what happened, and a bunch of the animals just say that there was a flying something came and hit the wagon, and then people ran into the woods. Is basically what you got from them.
Do they have a time? I assume you.
I relay it to you guys, and I ask them how many nights ago this, or how many nights have happened since then. How much time has passed?
It takes them a minute. It looks like they're trying to figure out what specifically you're trying to ask, kind of a thing. But they come to the conclusion of Like, question mark.
Okay.
So it's been a minute.
I'm gonna look through the wagon while he's talking.
Hmm.
Looking through the wagon, you can tell that it has time. Not like anything crazy. It doesn't look like it's worn down from time, but there's not really a lot of imprints around the wagon too much. Like you might see if someone were roll your survival. You have that.
Sir Vivi. That's a 16.
Yeah, so you can definitely tell that you can tell that it's been a while. There's still items.
Anything.
It looks like it's general living or items. You do see a couple of nicer paintings that look like they were kind of covered by bags, or not bags, but like cloths and things. But removing them, you see a couple of really nice oil paintings. But other than that, you don't see
How
much
big?
else. They're paintings.
Are they framed or rolled?
They are framed.
How many? I can probably carry 2.
2 framed paintings. But yeah, so you're gonna. Oh, you can put them in your thing. Huh?
Yeah, I'm like. Do you guys know anything about paintings? Do you think these could be valuable?
Yes.
I mean, probably.
What are the paintings?
One of them looks like a knight painting of weapons and books.
Mm.
The other one looks like quite the opposite of some sort of celestial style.
Ooh.
Wonder if we can get a fancy price for it.
Surprise?
Might as well take them, right?
Fancy price.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it hurt anything to take them?
Do you guys want anything else off your backs for the day? I won't have access to it for another 4 hours, but you know.
I don't care.
No, I've got my bag up.
Yeah. If we have an emergency, her bag.
I'm gonna put down my lantern, pick up the paintings, and walk into it.
Yeah, you just take those paintings
So
in.
do you anamorphs into?
I turn into like genie smoke with everything,
Nice.
And
I like that description.
and then I'm inside and I hang them up.
Did anyone else see the paintings?
I probably looked at them.
You look at them. You look at the paintings.
No, I was actually talking to this very nice
woodland.
otter.
Oh, the otter. Yes.
Yeah.
Otter.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
Did you
in the wagon?
put your?
So there's a number of things in there, but many of them are things. See, so there's some clothes and things like that. There's basic items that you would take with you to go to a city.
Hmm.
You do see kind of some painting.
I don't know the value of painting equipment. And
Uh,
these
you
paintings are
see
big
some
enough.
paints. Is
Yeah.
basically what it is.
These things are bulky enough that I'm not trying to put those in my
Or a
lantern.
photograph of a somewhere in here. Oh man,
Look, remark.
oh, Richard Pick.
No.
Not Pickman's model.
This man does not appear to have been Pikmin model or anything. But yeah, you can see that there's quite a bit of damage. So the axle is a little bit shattered. You can see that one of the wagon wheels kind of like crushed, like both of them kind of got crushed in. And then you can see a couple tears. This wagon's kind of more of a covered wagon. You can see some tears across the top canvas,
Ooh, like claw.
like claw tears.
Did the people ever come out of the woods? Did they
asked
flee back
the
at
woodland critters?
They never saw them come out.
Hmm.
The ones around here. They kind of just mentioned that the woodland critters say they didn't pay attention at.
Right.
So they're in the house.
That's fair.
They don't really seem to have any clue.
But
Well-
they didn't come back this way, unless they did.
Really unfortunate for them. Do you think we should try to find them? Or is it just none of our business?
What was the flying thing look like?
Oh yeah.
The animals don't.
No, Mr. Badger doesn't know.
they didn't notice. They didn't notice the commotion until most of it had already.
That's fair.
Either the people made it alive or they're dead.
By the time they got to like notice the people, the wagon had already been taken care of.
Crushed it.
There was a couple horses that were attached to it. They also don't. They ran off on the road, though, not in. But that's pretty much all the information. They try to rack their brains for anything else. They can't think of anything unless you have specific questions. That would probably be about as much.
Yeah,
Off the top of their head.
probably.
And specific questions might be more than these.
Yeah. I'm personally not too worried about trying to find the owners of this wagon.
I think I'll just thank them all kindly and wish them well. Warn them about dogs.
Be safe, friends.
Watch out for hunting animals. Vicious creatures.
Cool. So from there, you guys are just moving on.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
You got some nice, definitely not cursed painting.
Yep.
So moving from there, you guys go on. You got your paintings. You got everything. The rest of the day, nothing really seems to happen. Pretty good stuff. Next day, nothing happens. You don't hear nothing specific from. Bill asks if you stopped at it after a little while.
Yeah.
But he just asked if there was any. He asked if it was a trap first.
As far as we can tell, it was attacked by an animal. I got some paintings out of it. Hopefully we can get some money.
Yeah, he just kind of. Well, that sounds good. May as well try to see if you can sell them.
We didn't stick around to see if there were survivors.
He gives a warning that the guards at the last tower, before you get into Marion, are gone. At the guard. And the whole place looks exact.
Strange.
The rest of them, you had occasionally been passing them. The further towards the edge of the country you got, the less saw them, the more miles between. But you've still been seeing guards who were friendly and passed and got to one. But he just weren't. He was kind of like off. He was just like, oh yeah, one other thing I just remembered. This happened. But anyway, a couple more days go by, and you do actually get to that point. The tower, the whole thing is open. There's not smoke or anything. Like the door, there's usually a sturdy wooden door on it. It's just not on there anymore.
Oh.
Strange.
Yep. Continuing through, though, I don't think once you get a little bit further into you pass through the border, at least where you believe. You're no longer seeing any of those towers, but occasionally you'll see a couple, like 2 or 3 people wearing the armor that you recognize as Marion's guards. You'll see them occasionally, like 2 or 3 kind of off the road, sitting there. But they don't. They basically don't seem to give as you're walking down. Or some of them will pass you and kind of good day to you and walk by them. One of them does mention, if you see anything happening, you can let us know and we'll go and check it out. Little pleasantries that people who are put to guard basically quick exchange.
I do ask, like, those towers, those are in Tyrion, right? That's not your land?
They nod and they say, past where we can take any action. Or if we did, then he kind of like shrugged, like sighs and says, we could possibly take action, but could create tension. So we generally.
Okay.
If someone's life is definitely on the line, may be able to assist, but
No, it was just a strange thing. One of them's abandoned and just seems out of place. But I don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's a little ransacked, but
and
didn't see any people.
If it's the building itself, I definitely wouldn't take any. If I was seen there and it looks the way you just described, that would not look good. So we're gonna just go ahead and let them deal with their return affairs.
Sounds good to me.
Good to be back home, though.
Well, welcome back. What took you to Sirion?
Oh, just wanted to see the world, you know?
Yeah, I was content to see just the country. It's not small, but I can understand wanting to go and see other places too.
It's really not worth it.
The man nods and says, "That's what I thought. That's what I've always thought." So I'm glad you could confirm that.
Keep up the good work.
The man nods and just continues kind of walking. Continues doing his general observing. You don't run into these people very often.
Yeah.
Like the towers were more frequent here near the skirts of the. As you're getting a little closer in, you start noticing not too much that they're more frequent, but they seem a little more. Some of them seem a little bit more experienced, or possibly a slightly larger group, but still close to as frequent. Eventually, you get to the point where you think that you're probably about two or 3 days out from the capital. 2 days out from the capital, I think, and you start noticing both more frequency and more people right about that point. But at this point, you start noticing guards that you would recognize are much higher rank than the general.
These guys got colors on their clothes.
Most of them had colors on them,
Dang. How dare they wear colored clothes?
I know, yeah. These ones are wearing, instead of just general, what you would consider their general, are starting to wear more plate mail, like these very big insignias, things like that. The two colors that you, of course, see most are the blue and the red, I think. You do see occasional yellows, though, which you recognize to be kind of a nonpartisan. They are considered the leaders, instead of like leaders of lower troops is kind of the best way to put it. So they're kind of a nonpartisan. But continuing along, nothing too crazy happens at this point. Syken let you, or not Syken, Bill let you know a little while ago they had gotten there. You guys are about 8 days behind, about 5. 1 day to get to the capital, and then 3 or 4 days to get past it. But the next day, you guys do get to that capital. This is, you can tell this is you've been to large cities before, probably a metropolis in city. Compared to them, there's a considerable amount of troops that are here, and many of them are actually riding giant lions as their mounts, opposed to horses. The closer in you got, the more horses you saw. The closer in you got, now you've seen lions. Some kind of look like saber-toothed tigers, and some of them look more big lions. But that's kind of what you see as you're getting closer to the capitals. The question now is, do you plan on going straight through the city or to go around it?
Did Bill need me to pick up anything?
He didn't say anything he needed. He kind of made a offhanded comment of, if I need it, I'll grab it. In like a...
Yeah. I assume he's good enough to get what he needs, but
Yeah.
he got hired. I don't think we need to stop by the city, but if we want to look at it, well,
Yeah, if there's anything you want to see, if there's anyone in the city, you know,
we can try to sell the paintings here real quick.
You could try to sell the paintings here.
I might want to
Metropolis
get
might
the
be a good spot.
paintings looked at by one of ours.
I'm okay with that too, because I don't know anything about paint.
I just don't want us to accidentally sell something that has like famous significance, you know?
Yeah.
I just
So you're from here.
Don't
Do you know
wanna-
anybody in the city now that you want to see?
Ooh.
Yeah, there could be someone you know.
I think there likely is someone I know.
It's a large city at this point, so
Mhm.
yeah, you know, this is the metropolis. So there's almost definitely, if you've lived around here, almost
Yeah.
definitely someone.
Oh no!
But it's also like saying, yes, I know someone in New.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go into the city. It's just a matter of seeing if we can find.
Yeah. So
I think I know someone, but I have not. I haven't written to them in a little.
mhm.
So I don't know exactly what their life situation.
What was their? How did you know them before? What did they do?
I think, I think we met at a book club. At some point, some of us might have called it a regional conclave, but this was several years ago.
Mhm.
And I think they were I think they're a baker,
Mm.
and they brought some like pastry, and had a lot of really cool ideas, and you know,
What was their age, or at least like a general area? Were they still young, like teen years, or were they an older man or woman?
I think we're talking like mature but still young, so like early 30s ish. You're on camera.
It's fine. Early 30s ish, so technically he was barely off.
What he's doing is off camera. They can see him.
That's what I'm
back
trying to
there.
do.
But so
Can't take you anywhere.
I mean, you don't have to live with them.
Not anymore, I don't.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go eat.
what was even a second, Grayson? Anyway, yeah. So in his somewhere in his 30s, Baker. Yeah, and you know that he's in town. You've heard tell from either a couple of acquaintances or things that he is in this city now. You know that the only thing that you know for certain is that he is still baking somewhere in the city. You're not. I don't think that you're aware of where he's at book club lately.
Yeah.
But he is still baking here and still someone that you could definitely go ahead and try to find him. It just might be a little hard with kind of bakers.
Oh, absolutely. But
it's worth it. You know, it's worth walking through the town. Why not, right?
why not? And if nothing else, we can, I don't know, grab some street food so we
Sure.
don't have to cook our own food rations. We can stock up on rations too. You know,
That is a good
kind
point.
of a thing.
It's
So,
probably
yeah.
getting more
I
attention
want
rations
to go to
today,
a
but-
clothing store.
Okay.
like a clothing store.
Shopping
or-
Like
Montage.
an
Shopping
actual
montage.
clothing store, because I hear these things exist.
Because
They do. They do.
because
And
Arla said
What?
that they are the coolest
And also,
thing.
I want to pick something new out and show Arla
Your new outfit.
my new outfit.
Cool.
Oh, man. Can you
let's go ahead.
imagine trying to convince Vincent to send Corin a text and asking Corin to ask Arla for fashion advice.
Okay, so listen, I'm in a clothing store.
They do exist. OMG.
You're right. They do exist.
You were right. They only sell clothing and accessories.
Am I writing this to Corin for you?
No, it was a debate. By the way, so Corin, do you ever reach out to Corin?
I update him like, hey, this is what's gonna happen.
Every
I told him
time-
about the cart. I told him about the.
Every time you reach out to Corin, he asks very obscure questions about the things you mention, or asking about things that you may or may not have passed. He did once ask you how many leaves were on the second tree to the left, and just like that, like it was. And so, yes, and he asked you in the wagon how many of the boards had damage. like he asks you these kinds of questions anytime you call into him. Still trying to update you on your observation skills.
Love it.
Just a look inside of the brain of this beautiful little man.
This is important things. However, just as a little tidbit, like he does that every time you reach out to him. He'll be cordial for a moment, and then he'll say, he'll ask something, kinds of lines like, "Did you notice?" And it's not always like how many of these things. It's not like a direct question. It's a, "Did you notice the amount of broken plane or boards?" And then, "Did you notice the amount of trees on the or the amount of leaves on the second tree to your left?"
I like to imagine I get about a third of whatever he asks me.
Yeah, maybe. And you're doing pretty good. You've been learning the observation, but a lot of them are so obscure. Like he kind of told you, he told you to focus on the things that are important, but apparently to him, it's literally every single thing is important as far as details go. But he's like, he specifically told you, it's important for you to focus on what's important. And now he's asking you questions about the boards on.
And how many leaves there are.
And so when I'm keeping watch at nights, I'm just like counting leaves now. Like,
yeah, branches, leaves. You're like, oh, how many bugs did pass me?
I ate at least 2.
But as for you, we're going to try to find your good friend. Now, did your friend have a name? It's Baker Joe. Like I don't.
Does anybody else want to pitch in on my friend?
I like to think.
Bob Ross.
So this is a secret group that you meet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did you guys use your real names?
I think we did because it's important for our sense of community.
Okay.
Or at least something that's relatively close. Like generally, it's
maybe
just
not
like
a full name.
I think that generally it's like a first name.
Yeah, it's
not
a
so
brother
much-
Joseph kind of thing.
Hildy.
Hildy.
Hildy. Okay. Baker Hildy.
Baker
Matata.
I'll help you.
Hildy Matat.
I'll try to find him for you.
Cool. You guys are looking. Go ahead and roll an investigation. And did you say you were helping?
Yeah, I'd help.
Roll with advantage.
Ooh.
So, how far does the communication go with your weird?
Or rather, I want you both. Because I like that. So when you guys are
You
rolling
like
for
us both
advantage, you
rolling?
roll one and you roll advantage. But
Nice.
he's helping. So I would-
Yeah. I dig
Can
it.
we communicate?
We can. It's like a mile distance.
Okay.
I think.
If not, I'll erase her name and put your name in so we can communicate.
He looks sad.
Investigate.
Yeah. It's like a mile.
So yeah,
So I have a +6.
I have a plus. Yours is a higher roll. I got 9.
It doesn't
So
matter. It
that's
still
a
uses
15.
his.
Oh, it uses his plus.
Because technically he's rolling with advantage.
So I have 1 less.
Cool. So you are both equally beneficial, basically. What was the total number again?
15.
15.
And if I fail, or if I fail, I can add a d6 to it. Shadow.
Now this is someone you know, right? You would
Yeah.
have a general. We're gonna do something that is not supposed to be done. Roll another dice for this advantage.
Oh.
Because
That was a 9.
because we already agreed that in these.
The 9 was 15.
Okay,
So
so
I
it's
did
still the
bump
same idea.
the-
It's still the same, right? So
Yeah.
okay. So that's something we're going to be doing. So with skill checks, if because this is part of his history, he knows this person, things like that, we're going to just add a little bit. So because you know him in a baker, you kind of have an idea of where he might want to set the kind of person that he is. It didn't seem to help in this instance, but that's why I had to roll that as well. I know that this kind of advantage doesn't exist, but it's going to for these kinds of skill rolls for this game. But go ahead. You were not able to find him. I think you need just a touch more inspiration here to be able to see if you can figure him out. Yeah, assistance from the shadows, we'll call it.
Assistance from that's an additional 4, so it brings me to a 19.
Yeah, so you kind of had an idea of where you thought he might be and narrowed it down to a couple spots in town. Asked about some bakers and things.
Mm-hmm.
At which point you kind of felt a sense of the shadows stretching towards a certain direction. And so eventually, as you're walking and kind of following the direction that the shadows are all stretching towards, you do find a little baker's shop that's called something that he would name it. I'm not even sure, but
Oh, he found a little baker, a baker shop.
he may also be a little baker. I'm not sure of this person's size.
Hildy's loaves.
Hildy's loaves.
Hildy's loaves. Yep. So you did find Hildy's loaves. And those, you can smell the bakery before you actually found it. But you can see him through the window, actually in the shop as you're approaching. I mean, it's like he's half baking, half selling.
Yeah.
So, are you going in?
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely going in.
Okay. You go in, and as soon as he sees you, you see kind of a physical jerk. Not necessarily like not fear necessarily, but almost like
Didn't expect to see.
yes, kind of that one. You walk up, and he. What do you do as you walk up to him?
I think I smile just a little bit more warmly than I would to a stranger, and I say, "Hi, I'm just passing through town, and I heard from a good friend that I can get reasonable, or I can get food here at a reasonable price."
He looks hesitant and nods and says, "It is very good to see you. I haven't made acquaintance with our friends in a very long time. Don't really do it very often." He says, "But if you're looking for some discount food, I can definitely help you with that."
Absolutely. Regardless, oh man, I have to come up with a truism really quick. Just a really quick, dumb quasi-religious sounding aphorism.
And who was once in?
It's something along that lines. Like, the path leads many directions at many speeds.
As he's preparing some bread that he's pulling out, you see him almost wince, but with like a tiny smile. And he said something along the lines of, "It's been a long time since I've heard that one," and like with a half kind of chuckle kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The general impression that you're getting is that he is not comfortable with this right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, that's the general impression you're getting from him. But he says, "Is there?" He kind of gestures and says, "Anything you're wanting in particular, friend?"
Are you guys here with me?
Yeah.
You as soon as you updated, like, "Hey, I found them." We probably
Okay, yeah.
we're probably not there yet,
Shortly
but
behind. Like maybe getting there about.
Yeah. I say, well,
Like the bell rings and you guys walk in right
Yeah.
as he's kind of stuttering.
yeah.
What to
And
get.
I'm like, well, those look really good, and those. Oh, hey, what do you guys want? It's on me. So we're still gonna be traveling for another few days.
I would
Right.
like some savory breads. Just most breads, but
Yeah, so he actually has some of those breads that have like the baked cheese on top.
yeah.
Not a lot, but just like a spattering of it that gets like the. I don't know how
Just
to
a really
explain
good
it.
crust of.
Yeah, like a crust of cheese on the top, and
And
that's
then
it.
probably some like hardtack just for our rations and stuff.
Sure, totally.
Yeah.
I probably request like some loaves with like dried fruit into them.
I'm sure that there's something along those
Yeah.
lines. He mentions that that's not one of his specialties, but he has some. They're not requested very often here. He does say that the thing that's most requested is his twisted, like basically braided bread. It's called, but that he does have a couple of those in the back. They're a little older than breads.
I don't care.
Okay.
Oh, she loves day old bread.
Yeah. So he goes back and he grabs you some of the dried fruit bread, and it looks like it's mostly berries, with a couple like dried apples.
Okay.
But and then he kind of gestures at you. Oh, you got the cheese one, right?
Yeah. I probably got the specialty bread too, but
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
'Cause-
And then he says, "Anything specific for you, friend?"
I just asked for some of his specialty stuff.
He makes that up right away. gets a bag all set up, and you see him kind of like write down a little snippet on it, the paper, put it in the bag with it, and hand it to you, and says, "Is there anything else you need?"
I don't think so. Just pull out my purse.
He just, as soon as he sees the purse, he does this, and he says, "No. It's on the house. It's always good to see a friend. I'm sorry I can't be more." He pauses and like you see another pained look on his face, and he says, "Accommodating."
I just I put away my purse and I like grab the top of his arm kind of thing. And I just say, feel free to write whenever about whatever.
Yeah, the guy smiles and nods and says, "From you, that's welcome, and I might." And just kind of, and he says, "But maybe not for a little while."
I'm gonna be in the general area again sometime, I don't know, later. Is it okay if I check in on you then? Make sure you're okay?
He nods and says, "Yeah, maybe not to reminisce, but it would be good to see you."
New memories are better than old. And I realize that I just and I go, the point stands.
He nods and kind of puts his pats your arm as well and says, "It is good to see you." He says, "I hope to see you again," and says, "But good luck on your trip."
And as we leave, I'm going to hide 5 gold pieces somewhere in the room where he's going to find them when he's cleaning.
All right.
I was say, I was gonna give him gold. I was just gonna leave copper, but whatever.
Do you all secretly from each other leave money?
We all,
I was gonna leave a feather on the counter.
I mean,
Totally. You still can.
you just pull one out of your hair or something.
I like to.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna pull one out of my hair, like a nice, like bright orange, like colorful one, and just be like, "Brighten your day." Like
He smiles at you and says, "Thank you, miss."
Yeah, I'm not as sneaky as him, so like as soon as I see him let it pan because of my new perception, I'm like, oh, he's got this. So I was gonna reach for my purse, like, oh no, and I stopped.
That sounds good.
Because it's like so much more than any of this is worth.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I bleed money. By the way, how much did we get when we first started again?
Starting gold. Or did I give you?
I just started with starting gold.
Yeah, I think I
and
just said starting gold, and I gave you like the magic item.
Yeah.
My idea was probably that you
I'm
bet-
pretty close to out of it.
That's all right. You'll get. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's it for that. Where are you guys headed next? Did you? Huh? Yes, it's time to go to the.
You're buying clothes.
I am.
As you guys are eating, you do notice the letter in there has his name. Like that little receipt has your name.
Yeah. I assume it was for him. It's your friend.
But anyway, going to the clothing shop, there was a receipt. But anyway, going to the clothing shop, so not too far from here, people kind of direct you towards a close clothing shop that's not too far from the. Going inside, you see an older gentleman who's wearing quite nice clothes, almost a suit. And as soon as he hears you, he walks over, kind of hobbles over. It looks almost like looks like he's got just kind of achy bones because he walks over with assistance from a what? Not quite assist. As soon as he gets to you all, he says, "Oh, now, you are all in me."
I don't have my jacket or hat on. They're in my lantern. Because I imagine they're very nosy. My style is different.
As soon as he says that, I say, I'm gonna go wait outside.
He kind of lifts his head back and lifts his eyebrow. If you say so. And then looks over at you. Now, what can I get the two of you? He gestures to the room and says, "We have the finest suits and apparel here, then gestures the other side, and dresses and anything else a young woman could want over here.
Is it all like fancy clothes?
Mostly.
Like, do you have any traveling clothes? I don't know if this is the store for me.
He makes this face
Oh, all clothes are traveling clothes.
and says, "We have a sturdier section." He kind of just does this.
Yeah, I'll go look at that.
And he shows you in a section that looks like it's made of very nicely tailored and very nice look, but is made of a sturdy clothing. So it's kind of like a mix. It's not really probably the traveling clothes you were thinking, but it might be what's considered a poor noble's traveling.
Price tags, or do I have to ask?
You would definitely. There's not price tags on them.
There's
Like,
if you have to ask, you can't.
yeah, I'm not going to ask it. I'm just like taking notes of it, and I'm like, I can weave this into an illusion later. And that's what I'm trying. Like, oh.
Sounds good.
I go look at the dresses.
These are. You can, as you get over there, you start to notice what Arla probably meant by they match. Everything is kind of set up and coordinated with examples and like together, or
And I'm just like-
they're near things that would go with them well.
Mm.
Oh, the red,
Okay.
the red,
Not
and the blacks,
identical
and the pinks. No.
together.
There's lots of nice combinations here that I, as myself, would not be able to describe to you. But they do look very nice. They complement each other, and you can see they're arranged in ways where you can see the way they.
Alright. I'm gonna look for something that is nice, but also something that it like to me looks words.
Yep.
They exist.
They do. I've heard that rumor.
Most days.
In most days, I
It's something that like not super extravagant, so like it could still be like
looking for travel clothes.
non-recognizable.
um
Like I could wear it without people being like, yeah, that. If you know what that means.
not quite sure you're gonna find anything quite not eye-popping. There's the only thing that you're able to find is kind of a it's a black skirt that's matched with a dark green very nice top with a black jacket that covers.
Okay.
But you can tell that it's very like, or maybe you can't tell, but it is very fine material.
I ask how much that.
The man walks over, looks at the outfit in question, says, "For this one, you'd be looking at 25 gold per piece." This is a
Well,
I turn around and I walk out.
thank you. It was nice to meet you.
man raises his eyebrows.
Eh.
Oh yes, it was nice to meet you.
He's like kind of like weirdly like went for a second and then like turn around and leave.
So, whew,
This
this is an expensive city.
Well,
Cities are expensive.
we
Not
can
where I
go
come
now. Unless I want to come back later, but I think the point is to not draw attention.
Well, there's a time and place for nice clothing.
If you want, we can do an arson.
I think that's what she meant by come back later.
Oh, well.
That is what I meant.
You were too sneaky.
What? Unless we can go to like a poorer side of town where things are gonna cost way less than that. 'Cause I definitely don't have that much.
Yeah, I imagine we just stock up on the rest of our ration.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense. I mean, you could try to find another one. This is only the closest clothing shop, but you could also.
If on our way out of town we see another one that doesn't look fancy, that looks less fancy, I might stop in.
So, sounds good. You do. So, going back to the main road, you find it. So, this was kind of an out of the way location near his
Okay.
bakers. But you can find one on the main strip, and it does seem like it's more general. If you go into it, it looks like it. You know, things are nice. At least they match. They look like they're in sets, things like that. But they're not like. They don't look anywhere near as fancy. And the person who's in the store, there's a couple other people in here. They're just like, if you need help, darling, just let me know.
Okay.
But the clothes here, they look nice. They look like these are actually just general traveling clothes. Being on the main road through town, maybe one things to sell. So
Okay. I still look for similar to the one that I saw that was black with the green shirt. I liked the green with the black. But in like he's affordable.
you're able to find something that would definitely be workable. It's not. No one would call it fancy. It would just be general traveler's clothes that are dark, maybe not quite as pure black as the pants were before, but dark pants. And then the green is a nice green color, but it's nowhere near as
Nice. Green.
nice. But it still does look nice. So, it's roughly comparable, but
Okay.
mostly only general clothes.
Yeah.
When you ask for it, it comes over. It says, for the 3, a gold.
Not bad.
Done.
Done.
Oh.
But
have
I
a new
think that
outfit.
at this point is about the
That
I
actually
think we
matches.
end at 10. It's a little past that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, it is.
I didn't realize till I looked to my right as well, but we are hitting the end of our traveling here. So really quick, just some final things. Did you do anything?
Yes, I think I would have.
Would you have looked at it where other people were around, or more
When I left the first clothing shop, when I was
when they were still in there?
Yeah.
When you had looked at that, he wrote. Looks like it was extremely quickly scrawled. Wrote basically just a couple quick phrases. Lost family, not interested, good to see you. And that's about it. Like, just quickly.
yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you guys are about to travel out. Nothing's going to happen but the two cities here. There is quite a bit of guards and things between these two, being 3 days apart, or 3. But you start approaching the coastal city. And that's where we're going to. I'll introduce the actual coastal city at the beginning next.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
All right, and thank you everyone who is watching or will watch. We appreciate it. Definitely just getting this started here. Pretty exciting, still fun. I think that just focusing on playing the game is probably our best bet for now, and doing little things for streaming stuff, but we appreciate it. It was fun. We'll be back in 2 weeks. To be specific. Hey, why not? I can do that, right?
Why not?
2 weeks from now.
What with that?
It would be the 14th. Wednesday, the 14th is going to be 2 weeks from now. So that's when we'll be streaming again. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you if you will watch, and I hope you all have a great rest of your night.
Bye bye now.